Hey, take it easy.
No,
Hey, good morning, everybody.
that. Oh,
Good
by the way,
morning
that's
or good
the peanut
afternoon to those
gallery. The peanut gallery is my wife, Average Jane. She's
Okay.
an irritant.
we're live.
Live. So shush.
Good morning to those in the US and across the pond in the UK. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning, afternoon. Looks like we got Baron Vamsky in here from the UK, Scotty Aquati, Jamie Frost joining us from across the pond as well. We have our special guest here, the Stat Collector from the UK.
How we doing, guys?
So we're gonna mix it up a little bit, get a little experience from across the pond, which is nice to get the stacking communities together worldwide.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much for letting me come today. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to it.
I reached out to a couple of people from the Discord, which is Stacker Social. If you guys aren't familiar with Stacker Social, go check it out. I know Silverfoil Hat tried to set up something like that in the US and it did not go so well. But the Stacker Social, they just reached, was it 1,500?
Yeah,
It was, yeah.
Congrats on that.
And
that's awesome.
Thank you.
You are a co-founder of it, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, myself, Cyber Soundman, and 365 Days of Silver.
Oh, that's great.
Hey, the Soundman has been putting out some awesome shorts lately.
Yes, he's really got into terms with his AI, hasn't he? You know what I mean? Those Britannia videos he's been doing. Although I've got to say, I do think he's made Lady Britannia into a bit of a Karen, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. But fantastic videos nonetheless.
Yeah, at first I couldn't figure it out. Yeah, I knew it was AI, of course, but he's got some pretty good skills though with AI. I will say that.
Yeah. Every time I try and get anything made by AI, an image or anything, it creates this Lovecraftian monster that looks like it should be on a Carpenter film or something, with just a conglomerate of different hands everywhere, and it just doesn't look like anything it's supposed to be. So how he does that with his AI, I don't know. He's really, really good with it.
Well, he must pay for his AI. That's all I got to say, because the stuff that I use, you have like 6 fingers.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, just come out hideous. Like, yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. But whatever he's doing it right. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't figured out how to make videos with the AI. I could do I've got it to do descriptions and stuff, but that's about it.
I know with ChatGPT, you have to pay for it for the video. You get limited access for images on ChatGPT, but you have to pay for the videos.
That makes sense. You brought a good crowd with you. We have Israeli Coins, which I see on Stacker Social quite a bit. Sandy Millington's, Blistering Barnacles.
Jamie.
We also have Nemos Numismatic, who I believe is new to the YouTube community. And we also have the one and only elusive 365 Days of Silver, who I heard there's a bounty to try and get him on a live stream.
Oh, absolutely. We all want him on the live stream for sure. I don't think he's going to do one anytime soon, unfortunately.
Oh, we'll get him. Come on, 365. We'll get you in here.
Oh, I'm trying myself as well, buddy. So,
I think there's like a bounty on his head. Whoever gets him,
for sure. I think it's up to 3 kilos of silver right now.
Oh, nice.
Well, I would go
365. Thanks for the 10 pounds.
Yeah, he's a top guy, and
some other fantastic guys.
Yeah, what a top guy! I saw that, and all the guys that I've come across. Thank you so much for coming across and saying hello. It's awesome to see them all in the chat there.
It is awesome. You guys are big into copper. I see in a lot of the videos.
I am personally, no. Copper is for sure the Marmite of metals. You either love it or you hate it. I woke up to a very interesting comment on my copper video today, and I get it. I get what people say, but to me, I love copper. My dad, when I was growing up as a kid, he was a plumber. My best friend's dad owned his own plumbing business. So with me having a bit of experience from helping my dad on jobs, I went and worked for him as a plumber's mate. And he used to pay me in scrap copper, and I used to take it down to the scrappers and weigh it in. And that's how I get my money for working for him. So there's a lot of sentimental value for me with copper. It's a beautiful metal. And if I just flip over to my other camera, some of the bars I've got here, these were poured by someone in the community, a guy named Gold Silver Hunter, or GS8, and there's 3 different Odin bars right here, and they're absolutely incredible. They really are. He hand poured them out of scrap copper, and yeah, when it comes to pieces like that, how can you possibly not love them? You know what I mean? So yeah, big fan of copper myself, but it's not universally loved. There's a lot of people who aren't a fan of copper out there as well.
Yeah, and it's we've talked about it quite a bit because it's popular on Whatnot here in the US.
Yeah.
So we talked about it. You know, it's not exactly a stacking metal, but it's not it's fun.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. You know, it's you can get some really nice, interesting pieces. It's low value for a fun coin, and yeah, I'm a big fan of copper. So yeah, I'm going to keep adding to my copper stack over time for sure.
Do you have any questions for the US stacking community? I'm sure some of the people in chat might have some questions for the UK community.
Yeah, I mean, I've got loads of questions. I think I saw that Jamie popped a question for you guys. Oh, what do you think of our accents? Jamie, not really stacking related there, but yeah.
Well, my best friend in the States here is he's a Scouser, so
oh great.
Yeah, so I'm well versed in that's a hard accent. That's a hard accent to get down.
For sure. But, you know, something like Scottish or Scouse, especially for the Americans, it can be very difficult to make out what people are saying. But question, I mean, one question for you guys is what I'm really interested in is how have you seen stacking changing over the years? You know, have you seen any massive changes in people's attitude towards stacking, you know, the mentality behind it, why they're doing it, and what do you think of the prices at the moment? We've seen some real hikes recently, so what do you think? Is it going to carry on the way it's going, or are we seeing peaks and we're in for a fall?
You want to take that, Vegas, or you want me to take it?
Go ahead. You go first.
Yeah, no, I'm fairly new to stacking, but not new to precious metals. I mean, I've been a coin collector. My first coin I picked up in 1973, so I still got it to this day. It was a $1 Eisenhower dollar that my dad gave me on the first day of school, and it happened to be my birthday. So he says, "Here, be a good boy, son, and you'll get this silver dollar." It wasn't actually silver, you know, it was just called a silver dollar at the time. But that's what started me in coin collecting, and then I did, you know, all your normal US coinage, filled the books up, and then just got bored with it. And then over, I guess, about maybe 2 years ago, I started stacking. So I'm kind of new. That was what I was getting to. I'm pretty new in the stacking world, but I always followed silver and gold as part of an investment strategy, like, you know, versus stock market, bonds and such. So always followed the prices of silver and gold, but never really jumped in it until the last couple of years. Strangely enough, though, my first coin I ever picked up was a Britannia.
Nice. What are your guys' thoughts of the Britannia? I'm a big fan of it.
The reason I picked it up was because after doing so much research and looking at all the different coins, I felt like this was the most beautiful sovereign coin, sovereign bullion coin available.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
Definitely had to have it. So
yeah. I mean, the Walking Liberty and the Britannia, I think, are two of the most beautiful, like you say, sovereign coins out there for sure. Both absolutely stunning designs, and yeah, I'm a big fan of that. One question I do have though that has popped to mind, and this is something I've always been like super jealous of you guys over in the States, because you still have silver coinage in your change even now, don't you? So how cool is it to know that you can actually get silver completely free of charge just by looking through your pocket change?
Well,
There are some channels that still do that. They'll buy like a box of like 50-cent pieces or dimes, and they'll actually go through them, and they do still come across some silver that's in them. I think it's becoming more and more rare.
Yeah, sure.
I think the banks are becoming, I don't know if the banks are becoming more knowledgeable about it and maybe weigh it to get it out of there,
Yeah,
or if maybe the bank tellers are the ones picking it out.
yeah.
But it seems like I used to watch one quite a bit, and I haven't watched him lately. But when I first started watching him, he would find quite a bit, and then it became less and less and less and less. So
Yeah, and I suppose, you know, it could be a mix of all of those plus other people taking them out of change when they see them. But I've definitely seen the coin roll hunts that that you're referring to, and I think, you know, just the fact that it's still in there is amazing. Over here in the UK, we debased our coinage in 1947. So 1946 was the last year we put any silver into our circulating coinage, and then we completely redesigned our whole coinage system in 1971 when we moved from pre-decimal onto the decimal system. So there's literally no chance of getting any silver coin in your change of the UK today, which is quite sad, I think. And I you know, I love the fact that, you know, because your guys' coinage has remained the same. You know, you've had the dollar all that way along. You know, it's still out there, and you're still able to find it. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah,
I find it
it
interesting.
is very rare.
Yeah, I find it interesting. There's quite a few Morgan dollar and peace dollar collectors on your side of the world.
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely two of the most popular US coins. Yeah, I mean, myself, I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of against the crowd on this one because I personally prefer the peace dollar. I think it's a better design, but I know most people are more of a fan of the Morgan dollar. I don't know if that's because the Morgan was older and you're going back further in history with the Morgan, or if it's just that they prefer the design. But I love that beautiful Art Deco, radiant, you know, headband on Lady Liberty on the peace dollar, and I love the eagle on the other side perched on the rock. So yeah, I think the peace dollar is for sure one of my favorite US coins. But then you've got some beautiful other coins like your Barber $half, or even a Walking Liberty $half, which was the inspiration for your sovereign bullion coin, the American Silver Eagle. So yeah, you've got some absolutely stunning pieces out there, and you're right, there's quite a bit of popularity for especially the Morgan dollars and the peace dollars over here.
Yeah, I'm a Morgan guy myself, but I can appreciate the peace dollar. I love like you said, the Art Deco design. It's just, I think it gets less respect because there was much more of them made, and they're not as collectible, obviously, and not as rare. So that's probably the reason.
Yeah, I see Dub C's just put, I think Americans equate Morgan dollars to the Wild West Cowboys and Western expansion. I'd never thought of it that way, and that just thinking about that makes the Morgan dollar a lot more appealable to me now, because, you know, I'd never made that connection that, yes, the Morgan dollar would have been the silver dollar that was around during the time of the Wild West towards the late 1800s, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Yeah,
so that's really cool.
The Morgan, they stopped producing in 1904, and then they restarted reproducing them in 21, I guess as a precursor to the peace dollar, to kind of rekindle interest in silver dollar.
Yeah.
So that was the reason they made so many 21s, and then, you know, that was that. But yeah, 21s, like 21 Morgans are kind of, you know, they're like the stepchild of the Morgan family, if you will. They don't really get as much respect, I guess you'd say, for lack of.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So how long have
I get that.
How long have you been stacking or / collecting?
So collecting a long time. I've pretty much collected coins my whole life, whether or not seriously or just as a bit of a fun. I used to have a market store where I'd sell various different knickknacks, collectibles, or all kind of. I used to buy house clearances and go through it, and anything I thought was, you know, interesting enough or worth putting onto the market store, I'd do that. And in doing so, I used to buy literal tins full of old British coinage, to the point where I had literal buckets worth of it. And I'm also a fan of the commemorative coinage that so like the 50p's, but the ones with the pictures on them, celebrating different things. I always used to collect them out of my change. I think for me, one of the best things is, this is going back to what I was saying earlier about your silver coins, is the stuff you can find in your change is the best. You know, it doesn't have to be the most most valuable pieces, but just being out and about and then looking down at your change and, oh, there's a 2019 Sherlock Holmes 50p, very nice. And you know, it makes it a lot more fun. So collecting, I've been doing for a long time. Stacking more so about 3 years ago. That's when I got into the bullion. So I had silver coins through my old pre-decimal silver coins, because up until 1919, all British silver coins were minted out of 925 sterling silver, and then between 1927 to 1946, they debased them down to 500 silver. So it was half silver, half copper kind of thing, and then. After 1947, they stopped making silver coins. So I had plenty. Our version of the Morgan or peace dollar was what was known as the crown, the silver crown, and it's roughly the same sizes. I think it's crowns are a couple of grams heavier than the Morgan dollars were. So I always had those. But a couple of years ago, I saw, I came across bullion coins at the Royal Mint, and I came across a couple of different people making videos in the community, such as 365 Days of Silver and Backyard Bullion. And I've always been the kind of person that's been into investing. I've always thought it's great to have at least a little bit of money put aside, growing in value, because you've got to invest in something that's going to, go up in value over time. So when I saw, what really got me into stacking is all the different type of bullion coins you can get. Like you've shown a fair few yourself there, but all the different designs. And I say to people quite regularly, I'm not one for buying multiple of the same piece, because what I'd rather do is get one of that design, move on, get a different design. And I like having every single ounce in my stack to be a different bullion coin. And I always say, it's if you are into a bit of collecting as well as stacking, one of the best things you can do is get coins just like these here. And this is this year's Australian Perfect Dragon coin bar right there. So you got things like that, or the the celebration bar like there from Royal Mint. Nice. We spoke about it earlier, but you've got the Una and the Lion, the original, and then you've got the Sunshine Mint. I think it wasn't it? Sunshine Mint version there, and then the second Royal Mint one. And the price on those isn't ridiculously higher than it would be for a standard Britannia coin. It's like something like 30 pence more for one of the Myths and Legends Britannias rather than the standard Britannia. So that's one thing that I really love about stacking, is that we've got this variety nowadays, that instead of just having a hardcore stack, it can be more of a collection as well. And that was the reason of coming up with the name the Stack Collector, because it was always about collecting as much as it was stacking. It's fantastic, to put your money into these things that are going to go up in value over the years, even if it's just tracked with the intrinsic value of the silver, and you get to build up a massive collection of beautiful coins as well. So yeah, I'd say stacking wise about 3 years, but collecting a lot longer than that. And same as say, I'm probably more of a collector than I am a stacker as well anyway.
Cool. Yeah, I was actually going to ask how you got the name, and then as you told the story, it just unfolded right in front of me, so I didn't have to ask that. That was excellent. Thank you so much. So listen, this Una and the Lion bar, right? Is this the older one or the newer one? No,
that's the old. That's Royal Mint one, the older one. That was hugely popular. That was, and I think it's the popularity of that coin that led on to this one. So this one right here, the landscape one, that's the more modern of the two by the Royal Mint. So this was the earlier one, and then that one was the later one right there. So both beautiful coins, but that's that original 2021, I believe it was first issued, wasn't it? The Una and the Lion bar.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful piece. And when I first picked up this one I actually misidentified as an Una and the Lion.
Yeah. Well, it's heavily. In fact, I've got a coin somewhere. It's in fact, my box is right here. Right? So it's heavily designed on the original Una and the Lion coin design, which I've got in this little box somewhere amongst all different kind of designs. So give me a second and I'll see if I can find it. Oh, here's one of them. Oh, it's for free graces. That's my luck, isn't it?
Oh, I got a couple of free graces. Yeah, it's funny that I got stuff everywhere and I just couldn't get it all together for some reason.
Yeah, that's the trouble, isn't it? Getting it when you want it. Because you store it all together and then you think, oh, I'll just grab that quickly, and it's in a box of
when I first started out stacking, I was super organized, and then I just kind of like started picking up the pace a little bit too much, and it ended up, I put stuff in boxes and just put it in a corner and this and that, and now I just have stuff everywhere, and I really, really need to go through it.
Yeah, for sure.
I was looking like for my Britannia and stuff. I was like, I know I got a Britannia somewhere, and my organization has gone to the wayside as well. I just I think chucked in there.
I think it happens to most people, doesn't it? You start off and it's all so well organized, and you've got the all my Canadian maples together and all these different kind of coins together, and then the more you get, that kind of goes out the window, doesn't it? So I still can't find it. I know it's in here somewhere, but I don't want to take all your time up. Let me just check these last few pieces. I don't know.
So Jamie Frost says, what do the North Americans think of the sovereign?
Yeah, that's a great question. What are your guys thought of the English sovereign, or even the Gold Britannias, which is the more modern version? I mean, the Royal Mint are still producing sovereigns, but obviously they're not bullion standard. They're 96.17%, I think they are, or 22 karat gold. So yeah, I'd be really interested to find about out myself, mate.
Now I know I saw where did it go? Doug T said he is a big fan of the sovereigns.
Yeah.
And he is a big collector and stacker of all sorts of things. I'm not sure if you're familiar with his channel, but he has all sorts of stuff. Myself, I'm not familiar with the sovereigns, honestly. I cannot lie.
Okay. They're upstairs, unfortunately, my sovereigns, so I can't grab one right now. They're beautiful coins. They're basically, if you think of a silver crown, if you know what a silver crown looks like, it's a smaller version of that in gold, because both the silver crown and the gold sovereign showed the Benedetto Pastrucci. Mostly, there was a few other designs dotted out, through the years here and there, like the Shieldback, etc., or the Australian sovereign, but most of them showed the Benedetto Pastrucci, George slaying the dragon, and that was on both the sovereign and the crown, and they have the same effigy of the king or queen on it as well. So it's if you haven't seen the sovereign but you have seen the silver crown, think a smaller version in gold. That'll help. But I was able to find it. This is what I was. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. This is what I was talking about here. So if you think about your Queen Elizabeth and the lion, that's the original Victorian Una and the lion design, and that's supposed to be. It was a gold coin. I think it was a double sovereign originally, but that's meant to, Una's meant to be based on Queen Victoria, and it's just a stunning design. But that was the original design. This isn't the original coin, of course. It's just it's a restrike, a bit like what your Elizabeth and the lion, but very, very, very often considered to be one of the most beautiful coins ever minted. The Una and the lion.
Well, getting back. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I picked up the Una and the lion. It was last year. I've only been stacking collecting since January of 2024. So I haven't been stacking and collecting long either. Pretty new to it, but I dove head first. And Una and the lion was one series that I saw early on, and I picked up the 1 ounce bars, which I had quite a few of them because I picked up more because I saw the older ones were going up in value. So I picked up some to possibly flip, which I actually recently did on Whatnot, and I did pretty well on those. And then I picked up 2 of the 10 ounce. Actually, picked up 3 of the 10 ounce Una and the lion bars. One of them I sent to my brother, and 2 I kept. 1 to possibly flip one day, and 1 to keep for myself.
Yeah, I can't fault you. I think we're stunning bars. I think all of the designs, even the Sunshine Mint, they did a beautiful version of Una and the lion. But I'm a big fan of the Royal Mint ones for sure. What's your favourite UK piece? Is it? I mean, other than the Union line, out of all the ones that were produced, like the James Bond series or the Myths and Legends series or the George and the Dragon series, you know, if it wasn't Union line, what would you choose?
Blue Collar, you want to take that one?
Well, I was just going to show.
Dragon,
I have a George and the Dragon right here that I picked up recently.
That's the 2025 George and the Dragon, isn't it? The series they started last year, and I'm a big fan of those because they remind me of the old Crowns. You know what I mean?
This is actually a 2019, I think it says.
Is that one of the Valiant ones? Is it? Oh, of course, 2019. Yeah. Sorry, I do apologise. It was a bit out of focus here. It was the Serpentine Dragon at the bottom that made me think it was 2025. But yeah, that's I think that was what was called the Valiant series, wasn't it, in 2019?
You would know better than me. I basically picked this up in my LCS. It was laying in there. I saw it. I said, "Oh, look at that! That's beautiful." I saw actually one of our local guys around here, Emperor Wang. He's actually from Hawaii. He comes in our stream, and he's got a lot of British sovereigns and such. And then he showed one of these recently, and I saw it, and I was like, "Yeah, I gotta have that one." But
it's really cool.
Here's the good news. Paid only $35 for it on 6.
Can't go wrong there, can you?
Can't go wrong.
That's
you have Average Joe has a unicorn for a coin shop, which is very nice. Dub C says he loves the 1935 Jubilee crown.
Right. Okay. Can't recall the design on that one. The crown, of course. Yeah, sorry, the 1935. That would be the Silver Jubilee of King George V, which was the first ever commemorative coin issued by the Royal Mint. Funny enough, and it was stuck to 500 silver, and it's a very nice coin. It is a very nice coin. It's what's known as the rocking horse crown because it's Art Deco. It's very they used to do a lot of angles and straight lines and sharp angles and that. So St. George looks a little bit like he's on a rocking horse. Me personally, I think he looks more like he's actually on a carousel. But yeah, it's an interesting design. Not everybody likes it. I'm a big fan of it. And it was the inspiration for this year's George and the Dragon piece. So yeah, fantastic coin. And I can understand him being a fan of that one for sure.
Yeah, that's the one that Emperor Wang showed. He showed this year's piece, and I saw that one. Actually, I thought that was the one that he had shown, but obviously it wasn't. But
very quite similar. That's what I thought, because same as I say, this year's 2025 George and the Dragon is based on the 1935, and it's got a very serpentine-esque dragon at the bottom. So it, when it was a bit blurry on the focus, it looked a bit like that for sure. But I'm a big fan of George and the Dragons. I am one of my favorite coins.
Yeah, gorgeous coins, man. I love the British sovereigns. I don't have any British sovereigns, but I do have an appreciation for them. Beautiful coins.
Do you guys do gold coins at all? Do you have do you get an American version of it and stack a bit of gold, or do you not bother with that kind of thing? Or
well, I mean, we do have American gold coins. Yeah. I've got. I
mean, you guys personally, do you collect gold at all, or do you stick more to the silver?
I had probably about 4 ounces of gold. I traded a good portion of it in when silver was 100 to 1.
Right. Okay.
Traded my gold in for silver, and now I'm sitting on the silver and waiting for the ratio to be a little bit more conducive, and I'll trade it back.
Fair play.
Yeah, roughly probably like 2 ounces of gold. I just recently started in September maybe. So not much gold, but a little bit.
Yeah. Well, look at the prices now. Even a couple of ounces of gold, you sat on about $5,000, aren't you? You know what I mean? So, or more in dollars, it'd be about £5,000. So, a lot more in dollars. More like six or so.
About $33.50 an ounce on gold now. Yeah.
So
do you dabble in the gold market, or do you stick with mainly just silver?
I'm mainly silver. I've always preferred the look of silver to gold as a metal anyway. I don't know why. It's that I think I've more associated it with what metal is supposed to look like, you know, if you think of metal. So I've always preferred the way silver looks. So my stack has always been a lot more silver orientated than gold, but I do have some pieces of gold. I picked up some gold jewelry throughout my life. I have a few sovereigns. I think I've got about 6 or 7 sovereigns now. I've got a few little gold bars, you know, the little 1 gram gold bars, and a few other bits. But just like you guys, you know, I stick mainly to the silver. I pick up bits of gold where I can, but I like to stick to the silver mainly.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that about you prefer silver, the look of silver. I also do. I feel that it's the best part about it, though, is I can pick up 90 pieces like this for every piece of gold I could buy.
Yeah.
Same size.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
So it gives you so much more variety. There's so many more options for you. And they do make much more out of silver than they do out of gold. You know, there's much more variety, for sure.
Yeah. If you think about what's available on the market to buy, absolutely, there's more variety in silver than gold for sure.
Yeah, and there's no way that you're going to buy a 10-ounce bar or a kilo bar of gold, but you can do that with silver, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for a kilo, you're looking around £1,000, aren't you? Or you know, what's that, $1,200 or something like that. So it's not a small amount of money, and you know, no one's saying that, but it's achievable, isn't it? It's not like, you know, you can only dream to own £1,000 worth of silver. So I get that. Whereas if it was gold, there's a very, very finite amount of people out there that could actually afford a kilo of gold, you know. So you're 100% right there. And I think, you know, the thing about gold is when, you know, only a few years ago, it was a lot more affordable to get things like the half ounces or the quarter ounces. And because gold it's getting close to doubling in price now. Yeah. You know, so when I first started picking up sovereigns, I think I was looking about 330, something like that. And now you're looking more like 650 per sovereign. It makes it a lot harder to get. And I think, you know, 1 gram gold bars are going to become more and more popular because they're what's going to be achievable for the majority of people to get out there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It seemed like the 10th ounce was picking up steam here in the States, and now with the price going even higher, like you said, it's people are switching, I think, to the 1 gram, the 2.5 gram, and just like that, just because it's just hard to throw down that money, especially with the way stuff is right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, sure. I haven't been stocking that long, as you know, and my first gold piece that I ever picked up was a 1/4 ounce Britannia, or is it Britannia or Britannia?
Britannia.
Okay, so a 1/4 ounce Britannia. That was my first piece of gold I ever bought, and I paid $532 for that. $532.
There you go.
So now imagine that piece. That piece is about $850 now, I would think, or more.
Yeah. No, for sure. M&J is awesome, Littlefoot. Yeah, sorry, I just saw a comment pick up. Now, one thing I was going to ask you guys about gold, sticking on the subject of gold, is over there you guys have got the gold backs, which I'm sure most people know what they are. But if they didn't, it's a banknote that's made out of pure gold foil. There you go. There's one screen right there. And over in the States, there's is it 5 states now or 6 states? It's 6 states now, isn't it, with Florida, where you can actually spend them as money. Have you guys ever actually used it to buy anything, or would you? Or what are your thoughts on the gold backs?
I think it's actually up to 11 states that you can spend them.
Is it?
I believe that.
Oh, no, I mean that actually produce the
that issue them. Yeah.
The
states that issue, I believe you're right. I believe it is 6. We've got Oklahoma coming in August, and then Arizona right behind that. So we'll be up to 8 states. But the best way to spend these is going to be to vault them. You basically buy them and vault them with the UPMA, and then they give you a debit card, and you can just spend right out of your gold stack that way. And that's the most
interesting.
That's the most practical way to use them.
Yeah. I mean, what's the conversion like when it comes to actually practically using them to buy things? are you going to lose a load of money on the conversion, or do they retain the value? You know, what will you get what you spend on a go back to spend with your go back card is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there is no loss. It's a 1-to-1. Basically, these are basically twice spot divided by 1,000 times the number.
Okay.
Okay. So this is 1,000th of an ounce of gold. That would be melt value. Literally would be like $3.50. Let's just say.
Yeah.
All right. $3.35. So this would cost you $6.70. I guess I'm off the screen there, and it would cost you $6.70 that piece there, and if you vaulted that with UPMA, they would allow you that much credit to spend, and if you sold it back to them, they would also buy it back for that same price.
So you're not losing any value whatsoever.
No, there's no loss in the transaction. No loss.
So Ed, one thing I get on my videos about goldbacks quite a bit. I mean, most people like them, and I'm a big fan. I've got my collection of goldbacks, but I get a lot of people saying they're a scam and they're not worth it and this, that, and the other. And I always say to them, for one, there's no spending them over here. They're just a beautiful piece of artwork, and that alone makes them worth what they are to me. But finding out that you literally don't lose any value on the conversion just goes to show that it's not a scam in any way, shape, or form. You're literally just putting your money into gold and then being able to spend it, for things you want. I think that's super cool. I really do, and I'd really like to at least try it. I don't think I would use it for regular purchases, but I would at least once like to go somewhere with a gold back and say, here you go, and pay for whatever I'm doing with that. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah. A lot of people use them for tips,
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and I know the tipping culture is different in the U.S. than it is in all of Europe, actually. So
yeah, very, very different.
But
yeah. Over here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, over here, it's a lot rarer to find people tipping waitresses, and it's not so expected because they're covered under their wages with the actual restaurant over here. So I know over there it's a lot more important to your waiting staff to receive those tips, and they rely on them a lot more. So Brits, if you do go to the US, remember to tip.
And you know what? Honestly, if I went over to UK or Europe, I would still tip. I couldn't help myself. So
we do. So if you're happy, this is the thing about over here. So if you get really good service, so you say you get a waitress who's really bubbly, really friendly, connects with you on the level, the food's nice, you've got no complaints. Most people will then tip, even if it's just rounding up. So say a meal was 26 quid, they'll leave 30 quid. That kind of thing. So you do get a lot of tipping going off, but if you get a waiter that's, doesn't want to be at work, doesn't enjoy the job, then you probably wouldn't look to tip them, So it is very, very different. But we do. It's not that we don't tip. It's just that we use tips as a recognition of people going above what because over here, doing your job, you get paid your wage for you doing your job. So doing just the bare minimum, you're already getting paid for that. So it's when you go above and beyond, people like to leave a little something extra.
Yeah. So a good example, yesterday I had a couple of pints with my friend from Liverpool, and we were in a little American, excuse me. It was an English pub called Fox and Crown. Okay. So we do have our little versions of English pubs over here.
Yeah.
The guy that owns it is actually a Londoner. And,
okay, cool.
So the bill came to, we had a couple of pints each, and the bill came to $34, and I left him $45. So that's pretty much where we're at with that.
Yeah, cool.
No, I think it's a big American thing where the business owners didn't want to pay their employees much, so then they started that. And I myself, being in Vegas, my wages mainly come from tips, so it's a different outlook I have on everything. And I think you're right. Like it used to be where it was based on service. Like if you got exceptional service, then you give a little gratitude. But now it's become more where I mean in the Vegas area, you go to freaking way there's a tip container everywhere you go. There's a tip container out, which it never used to be like that. But
Yeah,
it's a thing now.
I think what from what I've seen, I think the tip system in the States started during the recession, where the restaurant owners just genuinely couldn't afford to pay their waiting staff, so that's how they'd make their money. You know, they'd wait the tables and have that relation directly with the customer. Whereas over here in the UK, you would pay more for your meal, but that would include the services. You know what I mean? So it's not that one would really, both systems should cost people the same amount, if you know what I mean. Because same to say, over here it's covered in the cost of the food rather than being an additional cost, which is I think where the American system first started. Like you paid the chef the price for the meal he made for you, and then you paid the waiting staff separately through a tip, and it was kind of like two different contracts rather than one contract with a restaurant as a combined entity, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, the wait staff is they do obviously work directly for the restaurant, but they kind of looked at as like an independent contractor in a way.
That's what I mean. Although they are working direct for the restaurant, you know, they're how they get their money is more direct with the end customer than it would be over here, is what I meant. So yeah, absolutely, sure.
You know, the thing is, like with the tipping game, right? So I would say before the pandemic, I always would tip maybe 20%. Even people tip 15%.
Yeah.
But once the pandemic came and then restaurants opened back up and these people were out there, you know, putting their lives on line, basically, if you will.
Yeah.
Everybody started up in their tip game. It's like now it's like the minimum tip we leave is 25%. Sometimes we'll do 30 or 35%, you know?
Cool. Yeah.
It definitely upped the tipping game a lot.
Yeah.
When we pick up food, like from a restaurant, if we order like pickup food, we still tip them. And like, my wife's always like, "Did you give him something?" I'm like, "Yes, I did." And it's like, all you're doing is taking the bag from him at the cash register. But it's just one of those things, like, especially because we go to we'll get food from the same place quite a bit and everything. So then, you know, hopefully they remember us and take care of us. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
I mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I get tips in my line of work, and that's nothing to do with the food industry. I'm a tree surgeon and a landscaper, and I think this is probably part of it as well. And I can relate to this as a business owner for myself, for sure. You know, as a company, you want to be as competitive as you possibly can be with your prices to get that custom over different competing companies. You know what I mean? So a lot of the time, the service or whatever it is you're offering might even be undervalued because you're trying to entice people in. So I think, you know, a lot of times when you see things being extra nice or, you know, people going the extra mile, it always feels good for me at least to put a bit extra in and make sure, you know, you do pass on those little tips there for sure.
Oh yeah, and you're definitely making somebody's day. You give somebody a really good strong tip, and they did a great job for you. They were very friendly, like you said, bubbly and such. It makes their day. You know, it just makes it's nice to spread it around a little bit.
No, it is. No, absolutely.
And back to Goldbacks, it's sort of funny. I did a video last year when I first started stacking and everything. I actually have ATMs where you can get Goldbacks.
Yes, I've heard about this. Yeah.
Of course, you pay a crazy premium because you're getting it from the ATM. But I actually did a video and I did like $100. And when I took it, I did another video where I went to LCS and I used it to buy silver with, and it was a big difference. But that was just because of the ATM transaction mumbo jumbo.
Yeah,
which I mean, it was cool, and it's a concept, but it's still in the works.
Yeah, I suppose to an extent you've got to pay for the production and manufacture of your physical note itself, haven't you? Whereas if you're doing it on a voted system, there's no cost to actually produce the physical piece itself. So I can see that's probably why you get much better rates if you're doing it on a digital scale.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Jamie Frost had another good question. Which is more popular, the previous American Silver Eagle, Heraldic Eagle, or the new design?
Oh, type 1 or type 2?
Yeah.
Great question. Yeah.
I don't know. I do have a type 2 somewhere, but
I got a type 2 right here.
That's a tough. I've never really looked into it that much.
For
But
me,
I
I'll be
would.
honest with you. For me, it's Type 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a
there you
type.
go. That's the American Silver Eagle I know and love right there. You know, with the wings spread out on the shield there. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Right.
I'm not taking anything against for Type 2, but I prefer the Type 1 for sure.
And that's kind of like the Morgan Peace Dollar debate in a way, right? So
Yeah.
it's what you're used to, right?
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't dislike the Type 2, but I definitely like the Type 1 better. So I have a question for you. Our coins are all made in coin orientation where you flip them.
Yes, and we're on a turn system.
And you're on a metal system, right? Where you pick it up and then to keep it heads up, you have to turn it.
We have a better system, let's be honest.
Absolutely. And you know what? I wish they would switch to driving on the left side of the road here.
Well, I mean, going to the coins, sticking to the coins, I say that jokingly, but there's one area where it is true. The having the turn alignment rather than the flip alignment is better, and that's when it comes to graded items. Because with the American coins, when you have it graded, one side's perfect, absolutely, writing's brilliant, the design's brilliant, and then you turn it over, and the writing's great, but the coin's upside down because it's a flip coin rather than a turn coin. So when we have items graded, they look the right way up, whichever way you display them, if you know what I mean.
Yes, totally agree with that. But whenever I look at a graded coin, like most of the coins I buy graded are Morgans, and I always just flip them. I don't really pay any attention to this stuff down here.
You see, it plays with my OCD. You know, it's like, no, it's just, it should be right way around. I've got one of the alpha strikes for the alien invasion that the Scottsdale Mint do. And have you seen the alpha strikes? They come in with a little card with a synthetic DNA on them. They're brilliant. But the coin somehow has managed to get itself exactly 180 degrees to where it should be. So the writing on the cards one way and the design of the coins exactly the other way. And I'm forever trying to just move it a little bit to try and get it back the right orientation. But it's done back to itself inside the blister plaques. And that just infuriates me. I can't, you know, it really, really winds me up. It's these little things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I have a like a quarter set, not this particular one, but I have a quarter set that has one of the coins quarter rotated. And it's like, what do you do now? There's nothing you can do.
It's like, why would you do that to me? Because it's like you said, there's nothing you can do. You know, there's literally nothing you can do, and it's really, really annoying. But
now,
I don't know why.
If it's a single piece, if it's a single coin, you can kind of like mess with it and get it to move.
You can kind of like, and that's what I'm trying to do with the Scottsdale one. Every now and again, I'm like giving it a little shuffle and trying to get it back. But normally what I find is I try and do that to get it right, and I end up making it worse. So it's gone more the other way than what I wanted it to be. So you're right.
I always end up going in the opposite direction of what I should have done.
Yeah, exactly. It was like it started off just a little bit off, and you might have been able to get, you know, deal with it and accept it, but because you played about it, it's well off, and now you're just like, no, I don't even want to look at that. But I want to say a massive thank you to my good friend Coin Noob who's in the chat, because he sent me that across as a gift. It's just one of the series I do like collecting, the Alien Invasion ones, because it's only been a few years, hasn't it, the Alien Invasion series?
So I have a question for you. I've heard that it's difficult to mail packages to UK. Is that true? Now, pieces
that difficult.
Silver in them, or
so it's not that it's difficult. It can get expensive. So any package coming into the UK that's valued higher than £40, I think it's 39, so £40 and upwards, you're subject to customs VAT. If you go to, I think it's £235, then you start adding custom duty on top of customs VAT, and customs VAT is 20%. So 40 quid, it's not really, you spend more than that on a nice 1 ounce bullion coin these days, you know what I mean? Something like the Union of the Lions, etc. So it can be very expensive getting things into the UK.
Right.
But I've not really had any issues other than the cost expenses. I send things to the States quite often. I've had a fair few things sent to me from the States, and I don't think anything sent to me has ever gone missing. It's the worst thing you get is you get a little thing through your door saying that there's a package, but they won't let you have it until you go down and pay for the customs duty, and then you get to keep the package. But it's the custom laws and the taxes over here, not the best, because you guys don't pay VAT on your silver, do you? We have to pay 20% on top of what the initial cost is, which that's why when you go to the Royal Mint, you're paying really high prices over here in the UK, because not only are you paying the probably what would be a reasonable cost for the coin, then you're paying VAT on top of that, and that's what makes it start getting really expensive.
And there's no VAT on gold. Do I understand that correctly?
No VAT on gold. So gold is considered to be an investment metal. So you don't have VAT on gold like you do with silver. They're both gold and silver can be CGT exempt, but you have to buy a legal tender coin. So like a sovereign, a Britannia, because a Britannia will have a face value on it. Coins like that, they are also CGT exempt. So if you buy a gold Britannia, it's both VAT and CGT tax exempt free on that. So it's very different. I always say, I get it for some silver. So anything that's like a silver watch or a silver ring or a silver earring or anything like that, I think absolutely, they're jewelry, luxury items. I can understand VAT being paid on that, but anything that's a silver Britannia, which is an investment. I mean, to buy a Britannia, you have to go into the investment side of the Royal Mint. Royal Mint is split up into two companies. You've got the commemorative and the investment side, and they are two separate entities. So if you order commemorative, you'll see that in your orders, and if you buy an investment bullion piece, that will go in your transactions, and you don't pay postage on bullion pieces, but you do pay postage on commemorative. But all those pieces that are sold as bullion investment pieces, so your Britannias and things like that, the bars, that are pure silver, I think that because it's an investment metal, personally, really should be VAT exempt. And I think us Brits really need to start coming together and doing a few petitions about that, because it stands to reason. If it's an investment, you shouldn't be paying VAT on it, really, if you ask me. But it's very annoying with the silver, and it's one thing that can really raise the price over here in the UK.
Now, if I was to say mail this piece to you, right?
Yeah.
Number one, how would they know it was in the package?
You would have to put a customs form. So that's the thing, like when you say,
so
when you say things,
fill out the customs form and say $1 US.
So what you could say is you're sending a commemorative coin, and the value is $1 because it says it on it. If that's it's fine. If it's like the UK, could you still take that to a shop and spend it and buy a dollar's worth of stuff?
Yes, you could. Yes.
Right. Okay. So
it's absolutely legal tender in the US. Yes.
It's a grey area because you're being a bit cheeky with it. But what you're saying, what you're putting down, is technically factually correct, because it does have a value of $2 to it. But if they looked into it, they'd probably turn around and say, well, no, but if you wanted to buy it, it's this much. You know what I mean? So you can be. There are ways you can be. What's the best word to say? You can be creative with your customs forms, for sure.
I got you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught being creative neither, I'm sure.
No, you definitely don't want to get caught being too creative, for sure. That's
Yeah, the prisons are full of people that were too creative.
A little bit too creative with the taxes, yeah. If we've got a word for it, I think it's fried or fraud. I think that's one.
Fraud.
Yeah, tax fraud. But yeah, so you could try things like that, and you might get away with it, but just be very, you could easily get caught doing that, and you could get yourself into a lot of trouble. So I could never recommend people did that. But yeah, it can be annoying with the because it's a super low value, 40 quid as well. You 40 quid now with inflation, you get less and less with £40, don't you? So I think that's a bit of a low tolerance for me personally. But yeah, I was talking to somebody who came into the UK recently. They had one of the 2025 Dragon Bars off me. I had a few of those to sell over in Stacker Social, and they were saying that because if they were having it posted, they had to pay tax on a much lower amount, but because they were coming across and they were taking it with it, they were able to get hundreds of pounds worth of stuff and not pay any import on taking it back into their home country. So they were just over here going, I'll buy this, buy that, while I'm here, and not pay any tax when we go back with it. So, I would say with taxes, take a leaf out of all the celebrities' books. There's ways to be creative with your taxes legally, and there's ways to pay less taxes legally, but make sure you look into it and you get, you are acting legally, and it is more of a loophole than it is a complete break of the rules, if you know what I mean.
Right. You definitely don't want to end up on the wrong side of the bars, right? So,
no, you don't. And you could, but don't think you won't. Don't think, oh, it's just me, I'm just doing. No, it's still, tax fraud is quite serious.
So
Blue collar, you get that anyway. You see that when you go on your cruises and ship and stuff. I'm sure, like when you go through customs, you have so much to declare, and I wouldn't try and leave stuff out.
Well, honestly, listen, when you come off a cruise ship, I could buy 100 pounds of silver wherever I went. And you come off a cruise ship, I walk down through the line, stand in front of the little machine, and you're out the door. They don't even ask you to declare anything. I suppose if they pulled you out and went through your stuff and found it, that it could be a problem, but nobody ever looks for it. I've never, ever seen anybody get searched, ever.
This came up over here back in January time, because a lot of us Brits, what we do is we go over to Germany once a year for the World Money Fair in Berlin. And that came up because people were going over and buying things, bringing them back. And it's like, I always say, you just walk through. And like what you said, most of the time you'll just walk through and nothing to declare, you walk through. But they will pick people sporadically. So every now and again, they'll randomly pick people just to search through. So if you're ever, my advice to you is, if you're ever going through customs and you've got stuff in your bag, have enough money to pay the duty on it with you. So if you do get pulled up, the worst thing that'll happen is, oh, did you realize you got paid duty? Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize that. How much is it? Oh, here you go, thank you, and you're on your way. You know what I mean? You won't lose your stuff or anything like that. So if you are going to go walk through and you bought a few bits abroad, we all do. Everyone does it once or twice. You go abroad on holiday, you pick a few bits up. I wouldn't worry too much about that, as long as you've got the cash to cover what the duty fees might be, because if you don't, they will retain them and you will have to pay them to get them back, and it can get messy doing that. So it's a good idea to at least have the money there.
I've heard that the airport metal detectors does not pick up silver. So I went through the Las Vegas metal detector with this exact group of silver here. So that's 4.5 ounces of silver in my pocket, and it didn't go off.
No, it won't. No, it's looking. The metal detector is looking for very specific type of metals. So jewelry will very often not set it off. There's been many times I've walked through a metal detector and I've got various different pieces of metal on me, such as rings and earrings, etc. And then it won't go off. And then there was one time I was actually traveling to America back in 2009. I had a shirt, and the shirt had metal buttons. And I got pulled up, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what could it possibly be? I don't know what it is. And then they did it on the it's for buttons. Fair enough. But you're right. They're not, they're looking for certain metals, and they will get. It's like with metal detecting, when you've got the, you've got the stick and you're going out, you'll get a different frequency for different types of metals, like iron and silver and gold, etc. And the really good metal detectorists, they'll tell you what it is before they even start digging. They'll go,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're used to that tone for it. You know what I mean?
I've gotten my bag pulled aside with like 3 or 4 10-ounce bars. Actually, in the Chicago airport when I was coming back from my trip to Indiana, and it's because it's so dense. It throws through their little scanner thing. It shows a dense metal, so they pull it. That's happened to me twice coming back from there. So if it goes through the scanner, they can catch it, but if it's on your body, they probably don't.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
I came back from the Vegas coin show with probably 60 ounces of silver and nobody said a word. Nobody said a word.
Yeah, that was a lot of coins and rounds and stuff.
Yeah, but it was
Dub
all in one
C,
group. It was all in one bag. It's still in the same
yeah,
bag, by the way. That's how unorganized I am right now. That was from February. It's literally
Vegas, they don't
still
care.
in the same bag.
No, I mean, and that's the other thing, isn't it? I mean, a lot of stuff, it's not what we're looking for. Like, with those walkthroughs, most of the time they're looking for weapons. They're
Yeah,
looking
absolutely.
for contraband. They're not looking for people having a bit too much silver in the bag. So, most of the times they'll look at it, they won't even care about that. They'll move it along. I had a lot of problem when I went to Germany this year because of a comb. I had a comb, and it's a really handy comb. It's a little travel comb. It's metal, and it folds up a little bit like a knife would. Yeah, a little bit like a knife. I mean, it's so obviously a comb. It's so, when you look at it, it's so obviously a comb. But when I was traveling to Germany, I had it quite low down in my bag, so it took a while for me to rummage through and find it. And we found it, pulled it out. I was like, oh, it's a comb. Threw it back in the bag. Get it me. And on the way back, I thought I'll make this a lot quicker and easier, because I know it's the same kind of thing is going to happen. So I'm making sure it was all the way at the top of my bag, really easy to see, right up there. I'm pretty sure I even pulled it out so it wasn't locked. It wasn't folded over on itself, so you could see all the teeth. You could see it was a comb. And the police got involved, and I was like, "Really? Why are the police having to get involved here?" But he looked at it. I saw him look at it. I goes, "Oh yeah, it's a comb, mate." And he kind of like gestured to me, and then I saw him look over, and I saw his coppers, and I saw him go over to his coppers, like, and he's like this. He's like saying, "Right, this, that, and the other." And one of the coppers came over, and I was like, "Mate, it's a comb." He said, "Yeah, okay, put it in your case. Don't get it out. Don't show it to anyone." I'm like, "Mate, yeah, it's going to go in your case, and it's going to stay there till I get home. I'm not going to go around brandishing a comb in duty free." But it was quite funny. I just thought, the length they went to after they discovered it was a comb was quite funny. I mean, I understand, before, when it looks like it could be something else, you get to feel you're like, "Oh, okay, it's a comb, fair enough." Like on the way out, but the time and effort after they discovered it was a comb was quite comical to me.
Yeah,
That's like when
absolutely.
I got stopped. I had a replica 1 ounce bullet round, so it looked like a bullet for a firearm. So I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, that's why they're pulling my bag. I'm like, it's not what you think. And they didn't even
yeah,
look at that. They looked at the bars. They're like, well, what are
yeah,
these? I'm like, because I'm sure it shows like a bullet in their little scanner, but they can tell that
yeah,
there's no gunpowder or anything in it. So they didn't care about
yeah,
that. They
yeah,
just cared about the silver bars. What is this? And I'm like,
yeah,
silver. Read it. Look at it.
yeah.
So Dub C had
Yeah.
a good question. He says, question for the Brits. How strong is the vintage bullion silver bars community in the UK? That's big. That's popular in the US lately. Well, not lately,
It's
but it's always been.
so it's not that it's possibly not as popular as it is in the US. I mean, I'm pretty much I'm a bit of a champion for the vintage stuff over here. A lot of what I do and whatnot is vintage stuff dated like the 90s, that kind of thing. It's what you wouldn't say it's antique or anything, but definitely nice pieces, and there's definitely a bit of a cult following there, at least. So maybe we're becoming more and more popular as more and more people get into silver. I'm a big fan of them. I've got some. In fact, I've got some right here. But that's super cool. They're going to be in tomorrow's whatnot auction. They're 1986. Wrong bloody camera. So there we go. The 1986 WWF 30 years. So these are dated all the way back from 1986. Got some really nice toning going around the edges, but that's a cheetah right there, or Ansi Nonix Jubatus, as it is. But there's a few of them, and I'm a big fan of that. I love the vintage pieces, the older pieces, but it makes them a bit more interesting because they're not available anymore. You can't just go out and buy one every day. You've got to kind of hunt them down. You've got to wait for them to come up. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of that. There is definitely at least a percentage of people out there that do like the vintage stuff, but I think most people for sure are into the modern bullion. I think that's the most popular way to get silver over here in the UK.
Well,
Certainly for stackers.
Speaking of modern bullion, you guys seem to get a lot of Scottsdale Mint stuff over there.
Oh, we love Scottsdale. Yeah, it's one of our favorite mints over here. Scottsdale is. Yeah, I wish we could get more. To be fair, I've been struggling to get myself one of the riflemen. You know, we did the Scottsdale Cowboy before, and now we brought out the Scottsdale Rifleman. It's quite a similar looking thing, but it's got the guy with the rifle on top of the horse. And I've not been able to pick one of those up yet, but definitely something that I'd love to do. But yeah, I think Scottsdale are a fantastic mint. They've got they do some amazing pieces, and I think that's why they're quite popular over here. You know, for even being an American company, you know, we love their stuff.
Now, do you guys dabble in the Mexican silver as well? Do you?
I do.
Yeah, I love the Mexican
stuff. I do. Speaking of Mexican stuff, I've got a very interesting Mexican piece for tomorrow. Here we go. I hope you don't mind the cheeky plugs here, guys.
By the way, that's one thing we like to. That's why I've been dropping links.
We like to promote other community members. Yeah.
Awesome. If anybody's not subscribed to anybody in the chat, click on their links and subscribe to them. That's what we like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my favorite Mexican coin by far is I've got one of the original, like the OG Libertads. So that's the pre 1890s Mexican 8 reales before it even became a peso. It was the 8 reales, and I've got one of those in the stack. That's mine. That's not going anywhere. That's for me to keep. But this one, I've been able to prize away from my own personal collection, and I'm going to be putting it in the auction tomorrow. And what this is right here, it's a coin dated. I'll put the camera on. Right camera, here we go. It's a coin dated 1985, and it celebrates the 1986 Mexico World Cup right there. So it's a 100 pesos coin from Mexico. It's a troy ounce. The coin itself weighs 1 troy ounce, but as you can see right here, it's 720 silver. It says Plata 720. Yeah. And then you go, I'm sure you'll recognize that from the Libertads right there, the Mexican seal of arms right there. So yeah, when it comes to Mexican stuff, I'm personally a big fan of it. I know there's a lot of other people out there that love the Mexican silver. The Libertads are a beautiful coin, aren't they? They really are. So I do love picking those up, and yeah, there's a bit of popularity for it. So if anyone fancies that 1985 Mexico 86 silver coin, pop across and join me tomorrow. There's going to be some fantastic deals going at fantastic prices. So do make sure you head across if you're in the UK. Going to be kicking off from 4 p.m. But Whatnot have got deals going off all weekend this weekend. They're running their Gold Rush event. And we know what it's like when Whatnot put their events on. They start dropping prices and giving free credit out to people and all sorts. So a good weekend to get involved over on Whatnot for sure.
So you brought it up, Whatnot.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the ones that bring it up. So how long have you been selling on Whatnot?
About 5 months. About 5 months now.
And how do you find what's your experience so far?
I like it. I enjoy it. As somebody who was doing the streaming for a lot longer before that, it's not too bad for me. Now I can understand somebody who's never done any streaming before. It could be quite difficult to get up there on camera to do it, but I have a lot of fun. We have we've got a regular group of people who come across the auction, and I always tell people it doesn't matter to me if you're not buying anything. It doesn't matter to me if you're buying anything or not. Come along, have a laugh with us, have a chat, and let's just build this community. Even if you're not interested in buying anything, but there will always be at least some bargains. I've sold quite a lot of silver under spot price. And yeah, some pieces go ridiculously cheap, and that's one of the things I love about Whatnot. Now, Whatnot, it's one of those things with Whatnot. Now it can get a bit of a bad reputation at times. Whatnot can, and I think that mostly comes from things like spin wheels or surprise set auctions and things like that. I don't have anything to do with anything like that. I've never done a spin wheel or a surprise set. I always just do straight up auctions or buy it now, so you can see what you're buying at what price. Another issue with Whatnot, because I always want to help people and give them the best positive experience as possible. Another place in Whatnot where people can fall down is everyone presses the bid button at the same price. So you'll see something at, let's say, a 1 ounce starts at £1, and £1 is absolutely ridiculous. And 40 people press the bid by item all at the same time. The last person who pressed it by a literal microsecond, they all of a sudden they thought they were bidding on something at £1, and now they're committed to pay 40 quid for something. Do you know what I mean? So that can be an issue. But one thing you can do with Whatnot, and one thing I always do, is I always allow pre-bidding on my auction items. So you can go in there, you can put your maximum bid level, So you don't have to press that bid button, or you can insert a maximum bid level, and that ensures you're never going to pay ridiculously over what you wanted to for an item. And the other good thing about Whatnot is obviously you get the seller referral fees. So people can use our codes, sign up to Whatnot using a code, and then they get £10. Over here in the UK, it's £10 free credit to spend on whatever you want in Whatnot. And that means, you know, everyone can get at least one cheap piece of silver. You know what I mean? Because even if you just sign up, use your £10 referral, buy 1 ounce of silver, and then go and you're done, at least you've got one piece of silver. But the other thing for Whatnot is, you know, I'm not saying everything's going to be cheap on there. It's not. But you do get bargains pop up from time to time, for sure. Like someone will start an auction off and you think, sorry, I'll start this for £1, let's see where it goes. And it just doesn't build up traction. Like there's been some beautiful silver proofs in immaculate condition, complete with the original COAs I've been doing on mine. And we made it a bit of a thing where I started up them all at £1 just to see how they do. And the spot price on them is something like 23 quid. And I had some of those selling at like 14 quid a pop. You know what I mean? So there are some in fantastic deals on Whatnot, but you've got to kind of be there to, as and when they come up. It's a bit of a luck of a draw when it comes to those really, really good deals.
Yeah, you have to with Whatnot, you really have to use the custom bid.
Yeah,
like you
custom
said,
bid. That's it. Yeah.
If you just start swiping, like you said, you get stuck behind somebody else, and you're screwed.
It goes up very quickly at the end because they don't just bring the bids up by, you know, in our case it's dollars, right? So it'll be at $23, and then the next bid is 26 and 29 and 35. It goes up incrementally like that.
Yeah.
So that I'm sure is by design, but it should be by $1 at a time. This piece I picked up on Whatnot.
It kind of, I think one of the problems is it kind of technically does. So it does go up at $1 at a time, but because it's so low, there's like, say there's 50 people in the live stream and they all go for it at the same time when it's at $1. Now, physically, they've all pressed the button very, very slightly after each other. Very, very slightly, literally like within milliseconds of each other. But whoever pressed that button slightly last is now last of a 50 people queue, so it's gone up 1 1 1 1 1 all the way down to 50 in the matter of less than a second. And like you say, that's where people truly get caught out. So you do need to make sure, use the custom bid, put whatever you want to bid in as the bid amount, and don't rely on that button. Because it happened to me 2 weeks ago. I raided because I was trying to do a raid when you take because I'm finished doing what I'm doing anyway, so you take other people in your live stream and you raid another seller's live stream, and that puts all the people in yours into theirs. And I did it the other day to these sellers, and they had this little 1 gram gold bar, little 1 gram Valcambi, you know, like broken off of one of the 100 bars. And it was at like 30 quid or something. And I thought, you know, I'll lay a punt, boom, press the button, and it cost me 100 quid. Because I pressed the bid button, not the custom bid. And so because it was still so cheap, so many people were pressing the button at the same time. I was just the unlucky one who pressed it slightly last. And therefore, I ended up getting the item, which didn't make a big issue for me. Although it was priced a little over for a Valcambi. You know, 100 quid for 1 gram bar isn't a lot nowadays. If it was in a assay card, you know, you're probably looking more than 100 quid for them all day anyway. It's just the fact that it was a loose Valcambi. But I had referral credit on Whatnot, so it ended up costing me a lot less than spot price, or at least under spot price anyway. So I wasn't, you know, it didn't matter to me too much. You know, it didn't come out of my pocket, and it's a fantastic little piece to do for a giveaway for celebrating hitting 1.5 thousand subscribers last week. So that's what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Yeah,
I was going to bring that up earlier too. Congratulations on the 1,500 subscribers.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Cheers. It's an amazing achievement. It really was an amazing achievement. When I first started my channel, I said to people all the way back then, my goal is to get to 500 subscribers. If I can get to 500 subscribers, that would be an amazing achievement, because this isn't my first YouTube channel. I had a little pop-up YouTube channel. I used to enjoy exploring abandoned buildings. just as a hobby, you know, getting out there. I used to love the architecture and the history of it, and I used to walk through these old Victorian factories and just try and imagine in my head, you know, what it would have been looked like 200 years ago with everyone working and all the hustle and bustle. So I used to go around with the camera and film it when I went around, and I think I got to something like 80 subscribers was the most I ever got to on that channel after trying for a couple of years. So you know, for me, I thought 500, that would be insane, and to now be at 1.5 thousand, it's just a mind-boggling achievement. It really is. So I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody out there who's shown any kind of support to the channel at all, whether or not you're watching or you're liking or joining us on the live chats. You're all appreciated. You're a wonderful community, and yeah, I want to see our UK community growing, because for me, and one of my drivers is, I always, when I started my channel, like, you know, getting on to 3 years ago now, I used to look at you guys in the US and I used to be a little bit jealous, because you had this amazing community of stackers over there, and you were all swapping your poker chips. And I don't know if you guys still do it, but at one point you got trading cards made up and everyone was getting their own trading cards, and you used to swap that about. And I used to think that was used to be so much fun. And over here in the UK, we never really had anything like that. And for me, definitely, that was one of the massive driving factors behind setting up Stackers Social. Now it's Stackers Social is an amazing place, and thank you for giving me a shout out earlier. And it really is growing, but it's helped the UK, and it's not, don't get me wrong, Stackers Social isn't a UK Discord server, it's an international Discord server. There's people on there from every corner of the world, and everybody is welcome to come along and join us. But it certainly helped give us UK stackers somewhere to get together. Even if you're not a creator, even if you're just a subscriber, you can get to meet people and converse with them on a personal level, on a one-to-one level, and that is fantastic. A fantastic aspect of it as well. And then I know Cyber Salman, who's one of my co-founders, he loves the fact that it's you know, it's difficult to talk to people about your stack, because you've got to be careful. You can't be too loose-lipped with who you're telling about it, because I've known so many stories of people, you know, coming home one day and the door's been kicked in or getting broken into overnight, and it's because you've told somebody one thing and then they've said, oh yeah, my mate Dave, he's got a nice collection of coins, you get silver coins or something, and then that person goes, oh, by the way, I've heard that Jono's mate Dave has got a load of coins in there. Oh, that's interesting. And then someone else finds out, and they're the kind of person that thinks, oh, mate, let's go and break into Dave's house and take all his silver coins. And I used to work in insurance, and I used to deal with break-ins all the time, and it can happen. So having Stackers Social is somewhere where you can remain anonymous as you want, as much as you want to do. You know, some people like me, for example, I show my faces on videos, and people know my first name, etc. But if you wanted to be even more anonymous from that, you could just you don't have to share what you look like. You don't have to share your real name. You can just have an avatar and a screen name like the Stack Collector, etc. And you're there with people who want to talk to you about this kind of stuff. You know, we all get really excited about silver coins and the designs on a silver coin, but we all know what it's like when you try and tell somebody who you love and care about, but they have no interest in coins whatsoever. It's like, oh, look at this, isn't it amazing? We're like, yeah. And in their head, they're thinking, it's another bloody coin. I spend them for me coffee down at the shop. What are you talking about, mate? I don't care. And you're like, yeah, it's so amazing. Like, oh yeah, mate, really nice, really nice. But with Stackers Social, it's community people that actually get as excited as you do about these things, and that's, you know, likewise, that's one of the best things for me. I just love the way it's growing, and I hope to see it continue to grow to the same level as it has been over the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's definitely a great outlet, right? Because like you said, we often talk about that. It's like this show for us is an outlet where we can talk about our passion for stacking and collecting, and not have to worry about it. You know, we're just kind of anonymous guys. We're, you know, voices behind the camera, you know? Yeah.
And I think that's important. It's a fantastic outlet, like you say. And I think that is more important than people realize. I mean, people very often like miss the small stuff in life. Like you'll concentrate on the big pictures and you'll concentrate on what you want to achieve on, but then you'll very often forget to think about, I need to get a little something for myself. I need to take a little bit of time every now and again for myself to recharge my batteries. And I need, it's all right putting every single penny away because I'm saving for this thing I want, but I need to be able to spend a little bit on this here, and get that little dopamine fix on the journey, on the way. I think that is really, really important.
And I would venture to say it's a big dopamine fix. Yeah, because whenever I pick up something, it's like you kind of walk out of there, you're kind of walking on cloud nine. You come out of that shop and you're like, wow, I got some cool stuff.
Especially if it's somewhere like a coin show or an LCS for you guys, where you can maybe negotiate a little bit on the prices, and the prices aren't so set in stone. Because those times you walk out, you're like, oh my god, I got such a bargain. Can't believe I got him down to that on this. And that buzz you get from it, for me, is second to none. It really is.
Now, do you not have coin shops there? Or
no, we're not a thing over here. So we have bullion dealers, but we don't have coin shops really. Now, we used to up until about the 60s, 70s, maybe the 80s. Now, coin collecting as a hobby has died a death compared to what it used to be. It used to be a coin collecting and stamp collecting were the two biggest hobbies out there, and the popularity has gone massively on both. Now, there's still a lot more coin collectors out there than there are stamp collectors these days, that's for sure. But we don't have shops like the little one-man band who's got his little shop where you can go in and you look at all his stuff. We don't really have that. One thing we do have is, and what you find very regular, is antique shops will have cabinets that they rent out to different people, and quite a few coin collectors will hire or rent cabinets in antique shops. So going to an antique shop, it can be a very good way of getting old coins. But then if it's anything newer, you want to look more like a bullion dealer, somewhere like Cardiff Gold, Next Day Bullion, Charge, Atkinson's, Bullion by Post. I mean, Charge, Atkinson, Bullion by Post are the three biggest bullion dealers in the UK. But then again, another big thing, and I keep saying Stacker Social because I'm co-founder, big supporter of it. But another fantastic thing we're doing in there is the marketplace, where people can buy and sell on a peer-to-peer level. So there's no middleman. There's no fees. There's none of that kind of thing. You're just connecting with people on a one-to-one level. They're picking up what they want to pick up, and that's really changing the game over here in the UK to enable people to get better prices for things, because we've been kind of limited to where we can go to buy things for many, many years. But no, sadly, dedicated coin shops are just not. I don't think it's a big enough business here in the UK for them to do it. Nowadays, most of the time, you'll find that even if someone has a shop, they'll do most of their business on a website or through eBay or through whatnot or somewhere like that.
Right.
So what are coin fairs like for you? You guys call them coin fairs instead of coin shows, right?
I mean, I think they call themselves coin fairs, but coin show, the term is used by people. Like I might say I'm going to coin fair, or I might say I'm going to coin show. They're kind of interchangeable, but the fairs themselves call themselves the fair. So you've got the London Coin Fair, and that's the name on the website, and you've got the West Midlands Coin Fair, the Yorkshire Coin Fair, the York Coin Fair, the Chesterfield Coin Fairs. So there are quite a few coin fairs. Now most of them aren't that big. So the one I went to last time might have had 50 sellers, if you know what I mean. So it's not 50 people isn't a huge amount of people in a venue, if you know what I mean. It was quite a small room. But what they do is that once every quarter, so once every 3 months, they have a bigger version in a bigger room, and that's a lot better. You get a lot more people there selling, you get a lot more variety. But the months in between, are a lot smaller. But they're still fun. The problem is, with coin fairs, if you're not local, most of the time they're not really worth going to. They're not worth driving 100, 200 miles to go to it. You know what I mean?
When you say like 50 sellers, so like here they usually do, what is it, blue collar, like a 20-foot table?
Right. Yeah.
They have like maybe 10 foot in each direction. So they'll have a corner, or depending on where they are in the row. You know, you might get a corner booth, you might get bigger space. There are different sizes. But yeah, it could be as many as like say 4 or 5 6-foot tables, right?
But 6 foot's very common table length over here for shows and markets like that.
So that's still a pretty good size though. 50 sellers there, because like we have the Vegas coin show is like 3 times a year. There's actually one next weekend, and it's like 100 tables. So I mean, it's 50 sellers isn't that? That's a decent size.
It's not. Same as say, if you're not too far away, they're worth going for. But if you're a couple of hours drive away, it may not be as worthwhile going. You know what I mean? Certainly not every month, because those 50 people will be the same 50 people the following month with pretty much the same things on the table. You know what I mean? So if you go in every month, you're going to see a lot of the same stuff every month. But also, you know, the difference between 50 and 100, just doubling it. That would give you a lot. That's already a lot more variety. You know what I mean? And it's it's twice as big a room. And that's when it starts getting actually 100 people. That's a fairly good amount of people to go around, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know, man. I feel extremely blessed here in Florida, because any given Sunday I can go to a coin show, and we're talking like maybe a 40 table coin show any Sunday. Within an hour and a half of my house, I can get to a coin show. Yeah. And several coin shops, the bigger shows.
I think
the fun show is right here, 2 hours from my home. So that's 1,500 dealers in there.
I think one of the problems over here is we are a huge fan in the UK of the humble car boot sale. So like a jumble sale. And I think everything just kind of gets mashed into the car boot sale on a Sunday. So, you know, we have Sunday markets or car boot sales. You can go every single week, and there would be people there that have got coins. You know what I mean? There'll be 1 or 2 sellers about. That's all you handful of sellers spread it around it. But you'll also see all kinds of everything else as well. I mean, literally everything else of car boots. So I think rather than having coin fairs, we just have Sunday markets, and they all kind of get amalgamated into one thing rather than having specific shows or fairs for the coins alone.
Yeah, we have the same thing here. We call them flea markets, right? So
flea market, it's kind of like a flea market.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, the flea markets for you guys for sure.
Yeah, which is great. My local flea market, 10 minutes from my house, has 3 coin dealers in it. And they constantly rotate inventory, because they just bring stuff in and it goes out. They get a very good business in there. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, for sure. There's a lot bigger business for coins over in the US than there is over in the UK. That's for sure. I've seen that so much online. But just out of interest, you got any idea why it's called a flea market?
No idea.
No idea. Yeah. I might have to Google it now.
I was going to say, I think
I'm sure there's an origin, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's got to be, hasn't there? You know what I mean? But I wonder why it's called a flea market.
Well, when you said car boot, I'm sure all the Americans over here, these uncultured swine. No, I'm only kidding. They didn't know what a boot was, right? So I just I have an English
trunk.
Friend, so
car trunk sale. Yeah,
absolutely. So I have an English friend, so I know what a boot. I know all the slang. I know what everything is.
It's not a fender, it's a wing. It's a bonnet and a wing. It's not a fender, it's a wing.
Yeah, the wing, yeah. Bonnet, bonnet, fender, bonnet, wings, boot, for sure. Absolutely.
Well, like what we call a lawn, he calls a garden, right? My garden.
Yeah. Well,
we call a yard a yard. You know,
yard. I thought you said lawn. Yeah, so it's a lawn or a garden. Sometimes a yard, but normally garden or lawn. If it's grass, it's a lawn. Yes. If it's not grass, it's a garden.
Right. Well, when he's hanging out in his backyard, he'll say, "Oh, we were out in the garden today, and around the pool." And so, but it took me a while to figure that out. I thought he was growing vegetables, because when we say garden, we grow vegetables.
Yes, it's for growing. Yeah, it's an actual garden for growing things. Whereas ours is your outside space. More so for the front. You have a front garden and a backyard. for some reason in the UK.
Oh, okay.
We like to.
Okay.
We love to mix things up over here in the UK, and we love using, different scales for the same things. Like we do a lot of things in the metric system, but then we still drive by mile per hour instead of kilometer per hour.
All right,
So
I'm going to ask you a hard-hitting question right now.
Okay.
Can you do an American accent?
Can I do an American accent? Well, I'm not too sure about that one.
That's pretty good. That's a little bit of a Southern American accent.
Bit southern down there, yeah, for sure. Yeah, down here.
That's pretty good.
Can you do an American New Yorker? Like, hey, forget about it.
New Yorker.
Like you?
Hey, buddy, what? Oh no, I'd need a bit of time to get into the role for that one. I think I'd probably have to go like Boston. Try and channel my inner Boston there, and
yeah. Well, Boston is very heavily influenced by the English accent, right? Am I right on that?
I wouldn't know about that, mate.
Well, that's the story I got. I did a little bit of research on it. I said, what is with that ridiculous Boston accent? And
Boston.
Boston.
Boston,
Pack the car in the yard. Where's the clicker? All that kind of good stuff.
So, no, guys, come on, guys. Fair's fair. I need to hear your British accents now. Come on.
Good day, mate. I don't know if I can do a British accent.
Good day, mate. That's Australian.
Fun fact: when I went to America a few years ago, a lot of people thought I was Australian. I went to Hawaii, and we say mate a lot and things like that. And most people thought I was from Australia rather than Britain. They wouldn't believe me. I had to get my passport and say, no, I'm actually British. I just don't speak like this all the time.
Yeah. Well, my
guys
friend
in Hawaii, they speak their own language as well. So
yeah. No, these weren't like Hawaiian natives. They were like people from California that had come down there to work and stuff like that, or come to go on holiday. And I think part of it is because where Hawaii is, they get a lot of tourism from Australia as well, perhaps more than they get from the UK. So I think that's possibly one of the reasons. But I got a lot of people, and when I go to Europe as well, I think it's just where I'm from. We have quite a bit of it's a weird old accent. It's quite common. We're almost not. It's not quite northern, but it's got a lot of northern influence to it. And I think a lot of people they do struggle to accept that. No, it's an English accent. It's just not the Queen's English. I'm from a more.
When I was telling you about my friend, he's from Liverpool. When I first met him. It's going back almost 20 years. When I first met him, I thought he was Irish. How are you, mate?
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, well, dude, are you Irish? He goes, he looked at me like I almost like insulted him.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. For sure. Nothing against the Irish, but like Viscar says, no, don't. You don't want to mistake their accent for an Irish one for sure. That's.
The Liverpool accent is bordering on Irish. I mean, let's face it; they're only.
It's getting very different. I know what you mean. It's getting very different to the mainline English accent. It's starting to get out there, isn't it? So things like Scouser, which is Liverpudlian, and then you've also got Geordie, which is for places like Newcastle, etc. Like why, man? You know what I mean? You're starting to get quite different, aren't you? And then you've got Scottish and Irish, of course. I personally, I think Scouse is maybe a little bit more like Scottish than Irish, but I don't know. That just might be my ears. But yeah, it must be a huge culture shock to somebody from America when you say if you realize or you were told you were going to meet someone from America, from England. And you build up this picture in your head about, speaking like an English person, etc., etc. And then they come in as a Scouse, and it's like, well, hey, mate, how you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I go in red, and you start thinking, what's happening here? I thought he was British, but it must be quite a culture shock, that one for sure.
Well, it's the same way in the States. You got your regional accents, and there's a huge disparity among them. from the southern, I mean, California, man. What is California? I don't even know. Hey, dude, what's up?
Hey,
California?
dude.
Let's go ride some waves, dude.
Yeah, dude. Bogus, man. That's absolutely. You just got a Chandra Cheek and Chong on that one, haven't you? You know what I mean?
Oh, Cheech and Chong, right?
Yeah.
I don't know your age group. I can't tell by looking at you, but you're probably about 10 or 15 years younger than me. But Cheech and Chong.
I'm in my 40s. Yeah, I'm in my early 40s. So yeah.
Oh, then you're almost 20 years younger than me then.
Yeah, fair.
But
like you say, they were for me. They were the classics. The Cheech and Chong movies. They were.
Yeah, without question. Now that was definitely a California accent that they were doing, Mexican California on Cheech's part. But
yeah, I was going to say Cheech was definitely more Mexican than Chong. He was a lot more Californian, wasn't he? You know what I mean?
Yo, yeah.
Nemo's got over on the chat a little bit. He says he was asking if the U.S. members have seen a wild haggis.
Oh, Nemo!
I don't know. I think that was from Stacker Social that I learned that the wild haggis, is not for real.
No, so the wild haggis was driven into extinction or near extinction. It is believed that there's maybe one or two still out there. They were driven into near extinction during the 1700s. They were hunted to near extinction due to the flavour of the meat and the insulation power of the pelts. You had two types of haggis. You had the lower land haggis and the Highland haggis, and you can tell the Highland haggis because it had shorter legs on the right hand side, whereas the lowland haggis had the shorter legs on the left hand side, and that's so we could run around the hills of Scotland. And everything I've just said is absolutely made up. They are not real, not real animals.
I was going to say, it sounds a lot like a chupacabra from Mexico.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of fun.
Or a Bigfoot, maybe.
No, because Bigfoot are real. They're real, dude. So yeah, no, completely different to Bigfoot. You know, they're out there. Sassy is waiting to be found for sure. But no, a haggis. If anyone didn't know it over in the States, a haggis is it's a type of meal, and it's ground up meats and oats and other flavorings that have traditionally, not so much anymore, but was traditionally stuffed into a sheep's stomach and boiled in a sheep's stomach. I actually really like it. A lot of people think it's gross, but I actually really like it, and I think it's it's a beautiful food. Haggis is, yeah, no, they aren't real. And one thing that really doesn't help is there's some really convincing mockumentaries on YouTube that do follow the wild haggis, and because of AI these days, they're starting to look super realistic, and it's caught a few people out. But the haggis aren't real, unfortunately. I wish they were. I do wish they were.
Now, you did say that was a Scottish meal, right? Is that correct?
Haggis is Scottish, yeah. They, if I remember, traditionally eaten for their version of New Year's Eve.
Okay, because a friend of mine spends time in Edinburgh as well, and cool. he mentioned haggis to me because I remember the sheep stomach.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays it's not really done in sheep stomach nowadays. You know, it's more like a sausage casing, like they would use for sausages kind of thing. But traditionally, it was cooked in the sheep's haggis. It's easier now to mass produce some not using sheep stomachs. You know what I mean? So nowadays, not so much. But yeah, definitely traditionally. Hogmanay, isn't it? Yeah, the celebration I was thinking of was Hogmanay. So that's I think the haggis was traditionally eaten for Hogmanay.
Okay. The meat that was put in it wasn't exactly top grade meat either, correct?
No, it wasn't. No, it was
pieces.
Yeah, so it was. Yeah. It was. So, like I say, they used to have oats in there to fill it out a little bit. You know, whatever they could get in there. You got to remember, this is coming from a time in history where that was very, very popular. You couldn't be picky and choosy for your meals. Down here in England, during medieval times, the most popular or the most common meal eaten was something called pottage, and it's kind of where porridge kind of originated, but it was more of a savoury meal. It did have oats in there. You'd either have you'd have oats or barley, etc. That would be a big part of bulking up the meal. But then basically you'd have a pot on the stove, and you every day you would just it was a bit like an eternal stew, and every day you just put some fresh ingredients in and you'd keep it going. The flavor would change over the weeks and the months. And yeah, same as say that was called pottage, and that was what we used to eat down here. But yeah, you're right, a lot of these older, especially the older really old recipes, they were more designed to make use of every scrap of food and not like anything go to waste, because it could be very difficult to survive back in them days.
Now that sounds a lot like Scouse, right?
What's that?
From Liverpool, the pot of Scouse in the pub.
Okay, yeah. So no, that's, I mean, sounds similar, but quite different there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like my grandmother, you know, grew up during the Depression and everything, and that, I mean, that's how they lived back then. Like, she was a big fan of head cheese, where it's like gelatinous, and they put whatever. I've never had it, but it's like you said, it's a necessity of the times, and that's what they roll with.
Yeah, so making meals out of things that you would just put in the bin today, you know. Yeah.
So Silverpunk, a great UK. He has a question for the great stat collector. Does Jaws' girlfriend Dolly in the James Bond film Moonraker have braces on her teeth?
This is a running joke for me and Punk. I want to say massive hello to Punk. Punk's one of the moderators over at Stacker Social. He's a fantastic guy. He does some amazing work when it comes to Paul.
Does do awesome work,
art pieces. He really does, and he's going to be joining me next weekend over on my channel for a chat. So a cheeky little plug there. But this is a question Punk pretty much asks every single week, and it goes down to something which I find a lot of fun, and I take it more with a pinch of salt than I do anything else. But it is one that really starts to make me start to question the basic reality. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the Mandela effect.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So, you know, people remembering things happening one way and them not, you know, turned out they didn't. So a few of the big ones is, you know, everyone remembers Darth Vader saying, "Luke, I am your father." And if you watch it back, and the fun fact on that one, even James Earl Jones, the guy who very famously voiced, so the guy who originally said the line, even he said, "No, I am positive the line was, Luke, I am your father." But if you watch it back, the line now is, "No, I am your father." And it's things like that. And the reason it got its name was from Nelson Mandela. So millions of people across the world all remember Nelson Mandela dying in his prison cell. As most people know, Nelson Mandela, a very, very famous political prisoner. And a lot of people out there, silly amount of people out there, remember him dying in his police cell or prison cell, which of course he didn't. He was released. And he died outside of prison. But people remember a parade on television where his wife, I think her name was Winnie Mandela, was walking, you know, at the front of the parade with the casket, and people even remember that. But you know, it didn't happen. So the one he's referring to is, you know, it comes from the James Bond films, Moonraker, and there's a character in there who's called Jaws. And he's called Jaws because all he's got for teeth, he's got like a synthetic jaw, and his teeth are metal, and he can bite through anything. You know, that's his power. He can literally bite through metal or whatever. Like, you know, he's a huge guy. The guy who played him, a huge guy. I think, you know, not quite to the size of Andre the Giant, but that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And right at the end of the film, there was a really touching moment, because Jaws, although he starts as a goon, like a henchman, so he's not like the main villain. He's like one of their main henchmen, but he's not actually a bad person. And there's a bit of good in him, so he's able to come through to the good side, and he has a bit of a redemption arc through the film, so he becomes quite a fan favorite character. And right at the end of the film is this really touching scene where there's this blonde girl. She's got like pigtails, and she wears glasses, and she kind of falls in love with Jaws, which is really touching, because Jaws, you know, sees himself as a monster, and that's why he aligns himself with bad guys, because he sees himself as a monster, and no one could ever love him. And this girl falls for him, and right at the end, he smiles. She's like, he's looking down at her, she's looking up at him, and he smiles to her, and you can see all the metal teeth. And then she smiles back at him, and it's such an iconic moment. She smiles back at him, and she's got a mouth full of braces. full of braces. And it's like a little bit of a moment like, don't worry, I'm different too. You know what I mean? And it's touching. It really is. But it's gone. She's got no braces, and like everybody just remembers those braces, and it's like, what has happened to the braces? And it genuinely gets quite interesting because, you know, a lot of them you can just laugh them off and it's a bit of a joke. But I remember those braces, guys. I remember with every single ounce of my being those braces, because that moment touched me. It was like one of those, oh wow, look at that moments, and it's just so bizarre. It really, really is. So what the Mandela effect is and how it happens is a mystery. That is absolutely a mystery. Nobody knows. It's been studied and it's been looked into and researched because, you know, how can so many people misremember something in exactly the same way and it not be real? And you know, same as say, I take it with a pinch of salt. But one thing I do like to think about, and because the timelines kind of match up to me, do you know the Large Hadron Collider over in CERN on Europe? I think it's still today, this day, I think it's the world's largest hadron collider, and it seems that the Mandela effect started to occur around about the same time as that was starting to be used. So is it doing something with realities? Are multiple universes a real thing? And is that doing something with that? And we're getting timelines being merged or something like in the films? I don't know, but it's definitely weird. It's definitely weird. But Silverpunk likes to bring up the one with George's girlfriend's braces. That's his favourite one. But I don't know about you guys. Do you have any Mandela effects where I'm sorry, but I remember it that way and I can't be told otherwise. But when you look at the evidence, I tell you what, one thing, it's like the Monopoly man having a monocle. He never had a monocle and people remember him having a monocle. A big one for you guys in the States, we don't have this one because we didn't really have the product, but the Berenstein Bears and the Berenstein Bears. Like people remember it being spelled one way and it turns out it wasn't the other. So I'd be interested to know if you've ever come across anything like that yourselves.
I always remember the Berenstein Bears. I didn't know it was the Berenstein Bears.
Yeah, I can't remember which way around it is, but a lot of people remember it one way and it turns out, you know, it actually is the other way.
Yeah, I think the most famous one is the Luke, I am your father. Yeah. And that's always how I say it. Like whenever I, you know, quote that line. Everyone does. Always
even the guy who said it originally, and I'm sorry, but when the person who actually said it and he studied that script, learned that script, memorized that script, and it's still to this day the biggest piece of work he's ever done in his career. I'm sorry, but James Earl Jones had some fantastic roles coming to America, so many amazing roles, but he will never be more famous than Darth Vader himself. And if even that guy says the line was, Luke, I'm your father, I am calling shenanigans. I am calling shenanigans right here on this one. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. I could see that it would be impossible to cover that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
the one that got me into it, the one that really got me into it was another movie, and it was The Matrix. And it was like somebody said to me, "Oh, can you remember that scene in The Matrix where Morpheus turns around to Neo and he sat in the armchair and he turns around to Neo and he says, 'What if I told you everything you know is just a lie?'" You know that famous line out of The Matrix? It is not in the movie.
I wonder though, could it have been like in an?
I went back and watched the original VSH tape from when it came out originally, and it's not in the movie. The line, it was never there. That one got me. I was like, no, I remember that. And I went out and I went into our attic because we still had the original VHS, because when Matrix came out, we didn't have a DVD player or anything like that. We were still doing VHSs, and I had the original VHS tape. It's impossible to fake it. And yeah, it just wasn't in there. It blew my mind. It truly did.
Yeah. I wonder if it's possible though that it could have been, you know, they filmed scenes how many times, right? 4 or 5, 6. Maybe it was like a second cut or an outtake that maybe made it into a clip that got on the internet. And
because at the time, you got to remember, at the time, it wasn't like it is today. You couldn't just go onto the internet and watch what you wanted when you wanted. It was very difficult, especially when The Matrix came out, Napster hadn't even been invented yet. So the
Yeah,
peer-to-peer file sharing just wasn't a thing, and having clips on online clips just wasn't a thing. It was like, you know, it was either you'd watched it on television or you'd watched it on VHS. Now, admittedly, the television versions always had things cut, like you say, had things cut out. So I could understand, you know, it being missing in the television version, but being in the original one. One movie that's a perfect example of that is Alien 3, Alien Trilogy, the third one, which is on the prison planet, has completely different opening scenes. The theatrical release and the director's cut, which was used mostly for re-airings after it had been in the cinemas, completely different starts. In one of them, the alien gets hold of, it's like a yak, kind of like a hairy cow type thing, and that's how the alien comes about. But in the other one, it attacks the security guard's Rottweiler. There she is. Look, tell me she hasn't got braces on right there. Tell me she has not got braces on right there. There it is. That's the only evidence I'm ever going to need. She had braces, Silverpunk. She had braces. But yeah, no, those braces now have been disappeared to time, mate. They've gone. Well done, Ian, for digging that one out, mate. I appreciate that one. But yeah, no. So yeah, it's very, the Mandela effect is very, very interesting. It really is. But yeah, the Matrix one, I went back and watched the original VHS release, and yeah, it was just, it's not in the film anymore. It was, and so as far as I'm concerned, it was, but it's just not there now.
Yeah, I thought so. Now that you mention that, I've always thought that was in that movie too.
Yeah. No, I mean, most people.
There would be no real reason for her to smile so toothily like that, you know.
Same as it was that moment. It was that moment where she was showing him that is like she was doing it in that way to show the braces, and he was like, "Don't worry about the way you look. I don't look perfect myself, and I've connected with you." And it had, you know, on that level with the braces, it has just this huge, like, larger symbolic, deeper meaning of true love and connection, and seeing above and beyond physical attributes, and what is beauty. Is it skin deep, or is it deep? It had all of these connotations behind it, and it made it such like an iconic scene of cinema. And without them, it's just a, hey, yeah, how you doing? Just moment, you know what I mean? It kind of completely ruins it. I don't get it.
Well, it's only going to get worse, because with AI, anything can become reality, and who knows what reality really is anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary in a way. I'm kind of glad I'm getting old.
Yeah, it's very scary. It's something that comes up from time to time. Now, I'm a bit of a conspiracy theory nut, because I love them. Now, even if I don't have to believe in one, but I still find it interesting. Yeah, the apocryphal tale, you know, they are a lot of fun to listen to with the conspiracy theories. Sorry, I just got distracted by if that's a good half hour on Moonraker, shall we ask him about Moonlight? Oh, don't ask me about the Moonlight. Honestly, I get so deep into the conspiracy theories, but same as say, I just find them a lot of fun, even if they're real or not. Okay, this little guy here, I've got to.
So speaking of conspiracy, aliens, yes or no?
Depends what you're asking. Are they
real? Do they exist? Are we alone?
Do they exist somewhere in the cosmos? Yes. I'm sorry, nobody can tell me that there isn't alien life somewhere in the universe, even if it's just microbial, even if it's just bacteria living on a rock somewhere out in the cosmos. I absolutely believe, yes, there is life out there in the universe. Whether or not there's life that is here and it's contact, you know, that's a completely different question. But I think it's only a matter of time until we actually have a definitive answer. Yes, there is life on of some form on another planet. And look what we're doing on Mars now. We know for a fact that Mars was once habitable. It had a very, very similar atmosphere to Earth at one point in its history. Its core slowed down, its core stopped, and now Mars is a dead planet. But at one point in the history of the solar system, Mars was absolutely habitable. And maybe not to us, because the atmosphere would have been a lot thinner than what we're used to. But I think it's only a matter of time until we find fossilized bacteria in a rock in Mars. That showed us that once upon a time in history, yes, it was there. I mean, the thing is, I know, like, for me, the only reason like somebody would not want to or have an issue believing that would be the whole religious debate, you know, were we created by God, etc., etc. I'm not saying I don't have any faith, and I'm not saying I'm not religious at all, but I don't think we're unique in the solar system in the sense that we're the only rock out there that's got life on it. So yeah, I do believe that there's alien life exists out there. Whether or not it, you know, it could be so many galaxies away, it effectively might as well not be out there. We're never ever going to get there. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter how advanced you get, because the universe is so big. I mean, everything's limited. But like the fastest speed possible is the speed of light. Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. So physics limits that, which shows us there's places in I've got that alien piece, and it's another piece Griff sent across to me. Very, very nice piece. But you know, there's places in our cosmos we will never get to. You know, it doesn't. You know, the laws of physics dictate that. It's not a technology issue. But yeah, I believe they're out there somewhere. What about you guys?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. I mean,
I believe they're here actually.
there's no way we could be the only life form in the big galaxy that there is out there. There's no way we're the only.
Yeah, and that's our galaxy is like, most people can't comprehend how big the galaxy is. And then our galaxy isn't a particularly big galaxy. It's quite a small galaxy. And then when you start looking at other galaxies, and you know, and space has always wowed me. I mean, there's evidence of advanced life in space right now. So have you ever heard of the Great Void in space?
Yeah, it's an area where it's just black, right?
Black, nothing. Okay, so there's a theory, right? And I can't remember the name of the scale, etc. But there's a scale which puts life on. So basically, I'm pretty sure we're a class 2 species. So we've reached class 2 of what is available with technology, and it all goes down to power. But one way that science is really truly looking into for obtaining power going forward is something known as a Dyson sphere. Have you ever heard what a Dyson sphere is?
I have not.
No.
So a Dyson sphere, and there's more basic versions like a Dyson belt, but a Dyson sphere would be a structure that basically, imagine a ball around a ball. So the sun's a ball, and then you've got a bigger ball that's completely encasing the sun, and that would be where that structure is located would be exactly where we are, distance away from the sun, because that's, you know, it's what we're used to for life. And you would build entirely round the sun, and that would mean you would capture every single piece of energy that sun created. So there's a theory out there that great void that science cannot explain could be a civilization that's so advanced that they've actually been able to create Dyson spheres. Therefore, all the stars in that area are fully encased, and that's why we can't see anything.
So they're basically cloaking their existence?
That's a byproduct. So they're not doing it to cloak their existence, but by doing what they're doing, by harnessing 100%. So there's no gap anywhere around it. Every single piece of energy the sun's kicking off gets taken in like solar panel, but you're getting not just little bits of the sun's energy. You're getting 100% of it, because you would have to fully encase it. It would then make it impossible for us to see that star, because it's encased. Now, a more simple version would be a Dyson ring, which would be a group of satellites going around more like a ring, because I'm sure you can imagine the sheer scale of building a Dyson sphere makes it thousands and thousands of years in our future. You know, technologically, you know, imagine there's not enough. I don't think there's enough raw material in the solar system, never mind the planet, in the solar system to create a structure that can completely encase the sun. So it's something that's way out of our, you know, it's a concept that was developed by a physicist, and it works completely in on paper. You know, you're not letting any amount of that energy escape. But yeah, it's, you know, just the fact that there's that big void there, it could mean that there's a huge alien empire that's advanced to such a state that they're now creating Dyson spheres, and that's causing what appears to be a void from where we are. But if you got closer, you would see all these different structures and all these different different types of kind of space station kind of things.
Right. So if we're like a class 2, right, and and we're talking about what we call a Dyson sphere, right? There has to be so much more technology beyond that we obviously can't even conceive of because of
So a couple of things here. So one, I think even just stepping up to a class 3 civilization would appear as gods to us. Exactly. So a class 3 civilization we would see them as gods. Okay, but there's a very famous quote by Arthur C. Clarke that says, any technology that is sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic. And that's true. You know, if a technology is advanced enough, it will appear like magic. Now, if I took a flashlight back with me 1,000 years to the days of Alfred the Great, they're going to think that's witchcraft. That I can create light just like that. You know what I mean? Just imagine how many things we live with today. That if you took that back 1,000 years, they would think you're a witch. You know what I mean? So
or a god, like you said, they or
a god.
Light.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just based on what society was like 1,000 years ago, you would have been more likely to have been branded as a witch and burnt at the stake than anything else. But it's true. It is true. You know, we've got to a certain extent, we need to set ourselves out of the box. We are not the pinnacle of what could be. You know, we're the most advanced species on our planet, but we could be an amoeba to what's out there, and we have to be open to that. And that's why I get really scared when we do things like Voyager, and we put all this information about our planet and our DNA makeup and all this. This is how to get us on a compact disc and fly it out there with Voyager, in case some advanced civilization picks up. It could be the biggest thing, biggest mistake we ever do as a species. It could literally end us. You know, something could come along. There's intelligent life over there. They've got a planet that is mostly water. Now that's incredibly rare in the universe. To have a planet that is mostly water is incredibly rare. You know, so our planet could be targeted if it was out there. But it's like you guys have said, the universe is so vast and so massive. The fact that there's life here and nowhere else in all those different places out there, I just can't see why it would be. You know what I mean? I generally think it's out there to some extent. You know, whether or not they can reach us, it's hard for us to think about that kind of thing, because the level, like you said, the level of technology needed to travel that amount of vast space it would start becoming to the very least sci-fi. You know what I mean? If not magical, you're starting to look into realms of sci-fi, which we're a couple of 100 years away from at least. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, like you said, the fastest that we could ever conceive of traveling would be the speed of light, right? But what if we could control time, right? So if you could control
this is the thing. So controlling time isn't technically that difficult. I mean, we can do it to an extent right now, and it won't be too long until we technically travel into the future. Now, to travel into the past is a completely different kettle of fish, completely different. But traveling into the future actually becomes more and more realistic. And basically, what it means you have to do is you have to take yourself out of a certain timeline, whereas time is having a different effect of you. And we already know this to be the case, because we know that gravity has an effect on time, and the higher the gravity, the more the gravitational effect, the more effect on time. So if you've ever heard of spaghettification near a black hole, so if you go to an event horizon of a black hole, you will start to get pulled into the black hole, okay, which is a super massive amount of material. Basically, the easiest way to get your head around what a black hole is, imagine the biggest amount of stuff or mass you could ever comprehend in your brain, like the most, like planets and planets and planets. Imagine all that stuff that's been compressed down to the size of the smallest thing you can think of. Right, and that's how a black hole works. It's just it's so much mass in such a small space. The effect of gravity it has is incredible, and that's how they suck things up. So when you get sucked into a black hole, it's not, you know, there's no portal, there's no wormhole. You get sucked into a black hole, and you're getting squished into all this other matter, and that's what's happening to you. But a very interesting thing happens along the way, which is spaghettification, whereas, you know, because the gravity changes so much. The effect of gravity on the front of your body is actually massively different to the effect of gravity of the back of your body. So you wouldn't get sucked into the black hole as one thing. You would get sucked into the black hole, and it would basically make you into, it's why it's called spaghettification, because you would get pulled and stretched into this tiny, tiny little string. The fun fact about that is, because of the effect of gravity on the black hole, that process would, to you, take thousands of years. Like to somebody outside of that, it would go like that, and it's gone, But to you, it would take thousands of years. So we already know that we can go into different kinds of times where, or different kind of physical places where time starts having a different effect on you. So if you can find, and also it's been proven by the use of atomic clocks that. You know, clocks that the experiment that was done, 2 atomic clocks were synced, so they had exactly the same time on them. And an atomic clock is precise to stupid amount of decimal points. They're the most precise type of clocks on the planet, and they had 2 of them synced, and one of them stayed on Earth, and one of them went off into space. And when they came back, they had very, very slightly different times on them, which meant the time had been affected. So on the one of that, it went in space differently. Now, it didn't go that far into space. We only really work in lower Earth orbit. We don't go into deep space. You know, it's this ISS, the International Space Station, that's in lower Earth orbit. It's basically, it's barely space. What we consider, you know, where we go and do the walks on the station, it's literally just outside our atmosphere. You know what I mean? It's still within our Earth's orbit. You know what I mean? So it's what's known as lower Earth orbit. So that's very, very different to deep space. But the further you went into deep space and came back, the bigger the change would be on those clocks, and the clock that stayed on Earth would have moved on faster. So already now, technically, if we had the technology, you could, as a person, travel into deep space, come back. Now, if you know, based on the propulsion you had, the energy system you're using, say for argument's sake, that journey you took 10 years, you've aged 10 years by then. The time on Earth that could have gone by could have been 100 years.
Right.
So technically, you've gone forward in time 90 years, because for 10 years you've experienced turned out to be 100 years on Earth, and you've traveled forward in time. And that's why traveling forward in time is actually a very, very plausible thing, that we're currently limited by technology, whereas traveling back in time, other than you start getting into weird, you know, like folding space time and you know, much more really in-depth science, which is a lot less easy to understand. That's completely different. But moving forward in time, I think there'll be experiments started with that kind of thing in the not so distant future. You know what I mean? And it's you know, it's not only is it plausible, it to an extent it's been confirmed.
Right. Now, what about the theory that these little guys here could be evolved humans that have learned how to travel in time? Yeah,
that is a very true theory, isn't it? And how would you know? How would you know? And this is the problem. The problem we have as humans is the corruption we face with on a daily basis, and the fact that we as a species cannot truly trust our governments, which is tragic, really. It's tragic. And the problem is, Like and people look down on conspiracy, you know, I say conspiracy nut. And I'm not being insulting. I call myself conspiracy nut. You know, people who are enthusiastic about that kind of thing. A lot of people look down on and go, "Oh, you're crazy, you're crazy." And it's like, okay, I'm crazy. Are you stood there and telling me that no government has ever lied to its people?
Yeah.
Because if that's true, if no government has ever lied to their people, then yes, I'm a crazy person, and this is all absolute nonsense. But if there's been times in the past where governments have genuinely lied to their people, it has removed that trust, and now I can never truly trust what a government is telling me. So the problem is you would not know if maybe there were aliens out there and they were in communication with governments. Because I tell you right now, they wouldn't make that known to the public, because they deal with sheer anarchy, wouldn't they? You know what I mean? If they drop the news today about aliens,
there would be panic in the streets.
Absolutely. And maybe they're preparing us and getting us closer and closer to that. You've got to look at things like, I mean, this was swept under a rug massively because of when it happened, because it happened in 2020. And there was a lot of things going off in 2020. But the US government released actual footage of a UFO in 2020, actual verified footage of a UFO, the Tic Tac. Now, okay, so there's the argument there. There's the argument about what the term UFO, unidentified flying object, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean alien. And that's true. It just means it's unidentified. It just means they don't know what it is. But you've also got to look at where our technology is as a species, and the way that object was moving, the angles and the speed of the movement, it doesn't exist on the planet today. It just doesn't exist. And the
it
government
doesn't exist publicly, but there could be black projects. I mean, you know,
What we're saying is, like, you know, even black projects, there's like it's probably changed now, but back in the day, the rule of thumb was military tech was 30 years above civilian tech, and that was your rule of thumb. But the proportion of this, you know, the Tic Tac is so advanced that it's not believed that it is a black project, you know, because if any government out there was able to produce what they're producing in that video, they could quite easily, you know, come out and you know, if they were that much more advanced by every other society on the planet, they would kind of be the leading society, if you know what I mean. You know, it's you know, going back into the Imperial British, which is not a dark part of British history. But we were going as you know, much more technically advanced society over to places where they were still tribes, and it's, you know, it's you're able to steamroll, really, aren't you? You know, you've got people with shields, you know, and bows or whatever, and you're going against an Enfield rifle. You know, it doesn't last long, does it? So it's, you know, it's thought that if there was a government out there, or a entity out there that was terrestrial, that was that far technology advanced, they would be a lot more, you know, you'd know about it a lot more, because they would be so far advanced. They take try and seek benefit from that advancement, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the real question is, do the aliens stack silver, platinum, or gold?
I've always said gold is very interesting, right? Gold is a very interesting metal, because when you live in a modern age like we do, like technically a space age or a computer age, gold starts becoming a very, very valuable metal. It's got some unique properties, gold has. One of which is it's a superconductor. Now, it's not quite as conductive as silver. Silver is the most conductive metal on the planet, but gold is also a superconductor. And gold and silver are very similar. Gold and silver are very often found in the same place, and they'll mine gold and silver at the same place. They're both superconductors, but gold is also, it doesn't tarnish. It's untarnishable. So if you dug up a 1,000-year-old gold coin, it would look a little bit like it'd been put there last week. Now, if you dug up a 1,000-year-old silver coin, it would be black and it'd be corroded, and, you know, it'd be tarnished, because silver does tarnish and corrode over time, but gold doesn't. So using it for connectors is absolutely fantastic. So anything that's, you know, any part of a circuit board that's exposed to the air, Gold is the superior metal because although it's not quite as conductive as silver, it won't tarnish, and the tarnishing process will remove the conductivity from the silver. So anything that's exposed to air, gold does have those additional benefits. Now, you also, when you look at space, gold is used a lot in space technology because, once again, it doesn't tarnish like silver does. Now, I've had people say to me, "But hold on, you're talking about space here. There's no oxygen in space, so how can something oxidize if it's not in space?" Like I said earlier, we don't work in deep space. We work in lower Earth orbit, where there is still atmosphere. It's a lot thinner than it is on ground level, a hell of a lot thinner, but it is still there, and there is still a certain amount of oxygen out there. And for some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, but for some reason, silver will tarnish quicker under those circumstances than they will on ground level as well. So so it's very, very useful in space. It's also, if you've ever seen an astronaut's helmet, you see now it's got like a goldy kind of look to the visor.
Yes.
That's because it is actually gold. They have a gold film on the visor because gold will reflect harmful UV rays, but allow non-harmful light rays to pass through, so you can still see what you're doing, but it gets rid of a lot of the harmful rays, which obviously we don't have to worry about on Earth because we have the magnetic ionosphere, which deflects a lot of the cosmic radiation that we would normally be bombarded with. But out in space, when you get out, further out of the atmosphere, but you get less and less protection. So you need things like that. So gold has all these really useful and valuable aspects to it when you look at technology. But if you look at history, like go back 1,000 years, go back 2,000 years, the only benefit gold has is it's shiny. It's literally the only benefit it has. It's a bit, you can polish it, make it shiny, because it's soft. So you can't, it's rare and it's soft. So it's no good for building structures out of, because one, it's very difficult to get your hands on, and two, you haven't got the tensile strength there like you would with something like iron or steel. And you can't use it for a weapon because, again, it's soft. So, someone comes at you with an iron or, an iron or a bronze sword, it'll cut through your gold blade. So, for thousands of years, humanity has coveted gold, and let's be honest, for most of it, gold was the number one item you could get. Nowadays you've got things like uranium and other things like that, but for most of history, before we even knew what uranium was, etc., gold was the top dog. That was the most expensive material, basically. It's why you had your gold standard. So it's always made me wonder. I've always stepped and questioned myself, like, why did it used to be so coveted when it was technically useless? And you've got to remember, going back to what we were saying earlier about people using every single little scrap to get the most they could out of it. Most of the time, there were some civilizations that were affluent and rich, but most of the time it was a hard time to be alive, and most of your time got taken up by surviving rather than living, because you didn't have healthcare like you did now. You were under constant fear of attack from different nations, etc., etc. And it's always made me think, why has gold always been so sought after as it is? Is it because of all its technological, positives? You got to start looking at the stories like the Anunnaki coming to Earth to farm our gold, and maybe as such a simple species as we were back then, what we saw is these like gods creatures come in, and they made us mine this metal, and then they kept it on, took it. So this must be something really special. This is what the gods want. They're making us mine it. We don't get to keep it. We have to give it all to them. So I want a bit of this god metal. I want to make a little chain out of this god metal, and I'm gonna, I want to feel a bit like a god. And it's always made me wonder. Now, again, pinch of salt territory, but it's food for thought, and it's fun to think about.
Yeah, I think it's like people do say that gold is just a shiny rock, but people get feverish about it, and they get blinded by it. Because we've, as an idiomism, we've added that value to it.
we perceive that value to it, and you know, apart from some areas of technology now where it is very, very valuable and it has very unique properties what a lot of other materials don't have, you know, take that aside because that's a very niche area of gold. Why do we get this gold fever? Why do we get this gold lust? What is it about gold particularly that we've always wanted to adorn ourselves with it and use it as a a basis of wealth? It just you know, is it because it's shiny? Is that all it is? You know, it could well be. You know, you can look down it like, you know, these primitive humans who were like, oh, my rock is shiny and your rock isn't shiny, so my rock's better than yours. And you know, then you start adding this value to it. But you know, you've got to remember a lot of these things. It's just a construct. You know, it's construct of society. You know, we've decided what things are worth. You know what I mean? There's and it gets very interesting because there's a scale where the more important something is, the less valuable it becomes. And for an example of that, it's like water. It's very easily available. You know, you've got pretty much free access to water wherever you are. If you're in a modern civilized country, you've got pretty much free access to water wherever you go. You know, it's not restrained, but it's one of the most vital things we need. And there's a really strange phenomenon where these really, really valuable things to us that we take for granted every single day, but if they disappeared, we'd die. Are very low value, but the things that aren't really important are the things that we start putting all this stupid value to it and start saying, oh, you know, we'll fight a war over it. You know, it is quite bizarre, really.
Yeah, no, definitely it is. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not really a gold fever type guy. And I don't know if it's because maybe I can't afford as much gold.
That's me, yeah.
But I just
with all the damn silver you buy, you can afford gold.
Well, it's true, but our stacks would be a lot smaller.
Yeah, without question. Yeah, that's why you get so much more diversity with silver. That's why I enjoy it. But here's the thing, though. If I hit the lottery and I win 400 million, am I going to waste my time with silver, or am I going to just say, yeah, I'm a gold guy now?
Yeah. I think
I wouldn't waste my time with either one.
I wouldn't stop with the silver because, same as I say, I buy things because I love the design of them. They speak to me, so I would still buy them, but I would definitely have a lot more gold than I do right now, and I'd probably start loving. You know, that's when I'd start weight stacking and just buying like generic bullion bars of gold to sit there and you know, increase in value intrinsically. I like how we've all three of us have got our little alien mascots here.
There you go. Me, I would buy monster boxes of Britannias.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I definitely have a few monster boxes at least, you know, of silver, and then can you imagine having a monster box of gold Britannias?
We're talking lottery, so I said I'm thinking gold.
Well,
I'd be walking around like Dub C with $30,000 worth of gold around my neck.
Yeah,
I saw this picture the other day. I don't know what the article was. I can't remember. The picture stood out to me, and he was one of the richest people in South America, and he just looked like a plank. He looked like a plank. The guy, he had this bracelet on, and they were like 20 kilo. He was like a 1 kilo, they were like 1 kilo bars. Like a load of 1 kilo bars, just this huge. It looked like almost like bloody science fiction armor or something, and just everything he had on was just cartoonishly big. It's like, dude, you know, come on, have a little bit more tact than that. You know, it's so awful.
Did you see those pictures? Did you see the pictures of the guy who bought pallet loads of Comex bars of silver? Who was that guy?
No, I didn't know.
What was his name?
Hold on, I'll get it.
I can't remember his name, but
I don't know that one. No, that's news to me, that is.
Yeah, he bought like $800 million in silver.
David Bateman.
Oh, wow.
David Bateman, that's it.
Oh yeah. I know the name. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just literally pallets of Comex bars, like just 1,000-ounce bars on pallets. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Where did it go?
For sure.
Who? Salivate Metals did a video on it.
Okay, I'll have to check that. I do like sales videos. I'll be honest with you guys. I get very little time, a lot less time than I'd like to actually sit down and watch people's videos anymore. My lifestyle's just changed that much. But you know, a couple of years ago, I had so much time to just sit there and binge watch video after video. But I really struggle at times nowadays. But I always like sales videos. I think he does a fantastic job.
We actually had him on our Monday night live stream not too long ago.
Fantastic work. Brilliant.
He
You guys
was,
are. You do know you guys have now got to come over on to one of my live streams at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
This is what he had delivered, that Bateman guy.
Wow.
That was just some of it. That's 12.69 million ounces of silver.
Wowzers. Wow, that's a lot of silver right there, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, what did they say? It was like 5% of the production for the year or something, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a certain percentage. I forgot what it was.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of the reason why silver is jumping so high right now. That one guy bought up all that silver.
That alone will add a little bit of that will change. That will be noticeable on the market. That one purchase alone. I'm not saying it'll be it'll double the price of silver.
Yeah, but
you'll see it jump.
It's going to inspire a lot of people to follow in his footsteps.
That's the other thing. These things gain traction. So silver goes up, and then a few people start saying, "Oh, you know what? Silver's jumped up. And then you do the maths of it. So hypothetically speaking, let's say you've got 2,000 ounces in your silver stack, right? Which is a big stack, but there's people out. It's realistic. People out there with 2,000 plus ounces in the silver stack, and the price of gold, the price of silver goes up from, let's say, 28 quid to 29 quid, right? You might think, oh well, silver's just gone up for £1 per ounce, and you've got 2,000 of them, so you've just instantly gain £2,000 in value just like that. So it goes to show when you deal with sheer volumes, the slightest little increase can actually translate to a huge amount of profit. Especially when you're looking at sizes like that guy there with that much silver. If silver, how much did you say it was in kilograms or ounces?
I think it was it
was 12.8 million ounces.
12.8 million ounces. So if the price of silver went from, like it has done recently, goes just from 28 quid to 29 quid, he's gone up. His holdings have gone up 12.8 million, just like that. Even and it'll be worth a lot more than that. Imagine it going up by a quid. It adds another 12 million. It starts to show the power of buying bits. One thing I regret not doing, and I look at a lot of the old boys out there, and I think, you clever sod, because they got onto it young and they started buying little bits for whole life. Never had to do one single big purchase in their entire life. They just bought a sovereign a month or whatever it was, and now they're laughing. They're laughing. I mean, mine's gone up quite a bit. I'm in the hundreds of ounces, not the thousands of ounces. I've got hundreds of ounces. But when I started, silver price was 18 quid an ounce. So I've earned 10. The stuff I was buying back then, silver's gone up by 10 quid on that. You know what I mean? So it goes to show. I remember when I first started, there was a big question. This went around the community quite a lot, and the question was, is silver a good investment? And people were saying like the premium this, the premium that. It's not a great investment. It's the term hedge against inflation was used, like gold's an investment, silver's an hedge against investment. I think the last year has shown that no, hold on, silver can be a bloody good investment, guys. It can be a bloody good investment. The problem with silver is it had a real big spike in 2011, which isn't that long ago. Came down massively after 2011, and then that you got to imagine how much money was lost during 2011 when the price plummeted like it did. So many people would have lost a huge amount of money in silver when it dropped like it did. So that alone then caused a huge difference in the sentimentality of silver. The way people were looking at silver as an investment, it started to become a bit of a joke investment, and people like, oh, want to invest in silver? Yeah, a year ago, bloody Dave, he were investing in silver. He lost all of his money. He lost everything overnight like that because it crashed. And it's taken a long time, but we are so close, especially in the UK. We are so close to hitting a new all-time high, which we had in April 2011. And we are so close to actually surpassing that for the first time since 2011. And I think we're starting to see that, you know, silver, because the market has changed, because the usage of these things has changed so much, silver is becoming more and more of an actual proper investment. And that's down to things like solar panels, for the use of silver in production for electric cars, electric batteries, you know, circuitry. You know, for a long time, the prominent use for silver was for antiquities, or collect things like sterling silver rings, or sterling silver pendant chain, or sterling silver teapot, or a sterling silver, you know, silverware, that kind of thing. Nowadays, the number one use for silver per year is industry. So the what silver is has changed a lot in the last few years. Like, I'm talking the last 5 years or so, you know, and the way precious metals are looked at and dealt with, and the way, you know, the market works now is a lot different to what it used to be 10 years ago. You know, it's we're living in a modern world now, and things are very, very different. But yeah, I personally think silver is showing itself to be, or potentially be, a very, very good investment. Now, obviously, the percentage of premium is still a lot higher than gold. Now, the thing, again, you know, you can get rid of that by investing in paper silver, which I know a lot of people are against, and a lot of people say if you don't hold it, you don't own it. But the reality of it, guys, is most of the time you can buy silver stock, sit on it, wait for that stock price to go up, cash in your stock, you've got your money back out, you take it out of the broker, you can buy physical silver with it there. So it's okay saying if you don't hold it, you don't own it. But the reality is you can make a lot of good money off of buying silver stock, because there's no premium whatsoever. You're buying it literally at this spot price. And I know that's unpopular. I know I'm probably going to lose a few people on that. But what I'm saying is I love physical metals, and I'll never stop loving physical metals. But I still also at the same time see the benefit of every now and again maybe putting a bit of money into the stocks of both gold and silver.
Well, you know what you could do? I've been a big proponent of this. Like, say silver shoots up $50, $60, right?
Yeah.
$50, $60. You don't want to sell. Buy yourself some silver put options on the SLV, and cover yourself that way. You're basically insuring and locking yourself in. If it drops down to $30, you just made a fortune. You covered your losses, and you locked in your price.
And this is the thing with the stock market. You know, it's a fantastic tool to invest and make additional money. You know, it's not easy, and it's very scary, and most people lose money in the stock market. It depends how you look at it. Now, a lot of people they want the stock market to be a get rich quick fix. You know, they want to think, oh, well, I want to invest on the next big thing, and I want to 10 times my money overnight, and it, you know, it works like that for some people who get very lucky, but that's more gambling than investing. And what I look at to invest in is things that they're not going to shoot the moon overnight, but what they will do is go up in value gradually over time. Things like the S&P 500 for you guys, you know, silver and gold. Look at it, and it's a diagonal line. Yeah, there's the little dips on it, but it's a diagonal line up. And those kind of investments, they're not going to make you rich overnight, but they're the kinds that if you put a little bit aside every month, you know, the amount you get additionally on top of it beats inflation. You're getting free money, basically. You know what I mean? So I do see a lot of benefit in that. It's very different kettle of fish to your physical metals. I get that, and they both have their own pros and cons. But you know, I'm not totally closed off to stocks and shares, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well,
my whole thing with like my whole thing with like precious metals is it has to go up with inflation, because it costs to mine it. You have to use fuel to mine it. You have to use people to mine it. So of course it has to go up with inflation, because the cost to mine it and to produce it and to refine it, the cost of that goes up too. So those costs just get passed right along with everything else.
And this is where you start getting to the lower end and the safety net that you get with things like silver and gold, which you don't get in other assets. The reason for that is, like you said, it all goes down to mining. So to get silver or gold, we have to get down in the mine and we have to get it up out of the earth. And that costs money. Like you said, there's fuel for the equipment, there's the cost of the equipment, there's the manpower and the man hours, like the wages you got to pay for all that. So there's tangible costs of obtaining this silver and gold. So that means if the price of silver and gold falls below the cost of actually mining it, or starts getting close to the cost of mining it, the mines will just start putting the tools down and they'll stop mining it. It's like it's not worth our costs anymore. What that then happens is there's less being produced and less putting back into the market. That starts driving up the supply and demand, because the demand stays the same, but the supply has stopped. That starts putting the prices back up, then becomes cost effective to start mining it again. They'll start firing up the machines, getting back down in the mines and producing more. So that's wonderful for things like precious metals, that they have this sort of safety net and bottom end of price where, you know, it's very, very unlikely you would ever see it going. Like for it to go below that, something would have to happen, like a stupid amount of silver or gold is just found just lying there at surface level. You know what I mean? Like they find the biggest deposit of gold ever discovered, and the chances of that ever happening are pretty much zero. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a fantastic thing about precious metals. It does have a low end cap.
Yeah, it's definitely got a built-in floor for sure.
Yeah.
Now, when you said Vegas, you said something about the mining costs, right? I was watching the First Mint, actually First Majestic, right? Big silver miner. They said their mining cost right now is about $19 an ounce. Yeah. So if you do the math on that, they're pretty much doubling up on every ounce of silver that they're selling right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Their mining cost though, right? That's not refining it too, though.
Yeah, but they're a miner, right? So they're not you know, they're not going to do the
refinery. It can cost a lot less to refine when you're mining it than it would do to recycle silver, because you start making things like 925 silver, 500 silver, things like that. They start getting mixed up with other aspects of circuitry. So refining it can actually become a lot more difficult once it's been mined out of the ground. If you've got a vein of pure silver, then it's actually, you know, it's very easy to get that. Or if it's nearly pure silver, it's very easy to get to pure silver. There's actually there's a huge amount of silver out there in solar panels, because they use quite heavily in solar panels. But the cost to actually recycle it and refine it out of the solar panels is more expensive than it would be just to mine it and get it that way. So it's not something we do right now. But if it ever got to a point where, say, the mine's dried up and there physically wasn't the silver to bring out of the ground, that would, you know, the price would go astronomical for one thing. But then, you know, you'd find people would start looking at things like old solar panels, when they would start getting those in, refining them down, taking silver out of that, because at that point it would become cost beneficial to do so. Whereas at the moment, the cost you get for the silver you obtain from the recycling wouldn't cover the costs you would incur to recycle the silver.
Yeah, that's true. Right now, gold is obviously, they'll vacuum flecks of gold off the bottom of the ocean. You couldn't do that with silver. You can't even, like you said, you can't even recycle it, electronics and get enough out of it to make it worthwhile.
No, you can't. And the interesting thing about gold, what you say right there, perfect example of that is the Royal Mint. They've within the last year they've opened this whole new side of the Royal Mint, which is dedicated to refining gold out of old electronics and things like that. And they've now come up with a jewelry line, which is the name's something to do with the refining of it, and that's, you know, people like the Royal Mint are starting to see big business in getting these this gold that's been used out of old things. Because if you think about the amount of old laptops and mobile phones that are out there, and the price of gold right now, it is actually cost viable to do that. But you're 100% right. You know, it just isn't worth doing it for silver at the moment.
Yeah. Do the Royal Mint actually offer tours for tourists or locals?
Yes.
They
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
do they show?
That'd be cool.
Do they show the manufacturing process? I mean, what do they actually show
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, so the tour is quite interesting. I've done it once or twice. You go to the Mint and there's like a gift shop there, and that's where you start, and you meet up at the gift shop. And right there's the Beatles car which is covered in old pennies. And first thing you do is you go into this one room, and the tour guide will talk to you very, very briefly. They'll explain to you what you're going to be doing. They explain to you that there's no photography. They do not allow photography. Like they are very serious about it. Don't think, oh, I'll just slip my phone out and take a quick photo. No, they are trained to look out for that. And if anyone does it, like I've been on tours where someone's got the phone out and we literally just we're not taking a photo, we're just looking at something on the phone and we're like, what we're doing with the phone? They're like, oh no, I'm just okay, and they're very big about that. They don't like they don't want it to be shown on footage. But one of the reasons for that is you do go onto the actual. Depends, like, so I go on a weekend, and I think it's better to go on a weekend because if the factory floor is in operation, you don't go on. But the both times I've gone, which both have been Saturdays, you actually get to go onto the factory floor and you're walking around all the machines, and we show you all these all the production of it and how it all how it starts as a big coil of metal that we buy, and then punch the holes in it and all the different dies. So when you come out of there, and then there's a few bits you see along the way, but then you go into the exhibition, and that's kind of like a museum. I mean, it's just full of display cabinets, and it's got all the different coins going back to thousands of years. There's a coin there from the reign of Alfred the Great, which unbelievable. It's over 1,000 years ago, and some of the pieces we've got in there are just absolutely stunning. But yeah, they do a very interesting tour. A lot of people, funny enough, a lot of people think the Royal Mint is in London, which it used to be, but it's actually in Wales. And a lot of people don't realise that if they if they're foreign or from another part of the world. But it moved over in Wales, and it's because one of the reasons for it is when they moved it over, the guy who was like high up in the Mint, I think he was the master of the Mint at the time, was also the mayor of this place in Wales where he got moved to. So he kind of got a bit of a, you're looking for somewhere, are you? I've got a bit of land that's can be used. Yeah, come my way.
Nice little deal.
It's a great facility and a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it if anyone's coming over and you're into that kind of thing.
So what about the Germania Mint? Did you get a tour of that? I know you interviewed the man.
Simon Kowalski, a wonderful guy. So that happened at the German World Money Fair this year. They were kind enough to allow me an interview with Simon Kowalski, who was he's the owner, basically. He's now the chief executive officer, so the CEO, so the head boss. But he basically, it was him and his family who created the Germania Mint. So he's the guy behind the Germania Mint. Now, when I knew I was getting an interview, I thought it was going to be one of the managers over at Germania Mint, and we were going to have a chat about the company, etc. So when I found out it was actually Simon Kowalski himself, I was over the moon about that. But no, I did that when I got to meet them at the World Money Fair over in Berlin. Now, Bayard Bullion, who's another UK creator, he's done some fantastic work with them since, and he got to go over to their facility, and I think he had a lot of fun doing that. And I would have loved to have done that, but unfortunately, because I met them in Germany, I didn't have that option, I'm afraid. But what an incredible mint, what incredible products, and what incredible people they are as well.
It was a good interview. I remember I watched it. That was very cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I've tried to get an interview with not the main guy with First Mint, but one of the guys from First Mint, and they're not so accommodating.
No, it's like it's a big thing for these companies, isn't it? Because the internet is a lot more. It's a lot more like the Wild West than television, which has a lot more rules. And a lot of these times, they're putting their name and their brand on the line, and it is a big ask. And that's one of the reasons whenever I work with a company, like I have a rule where I don't get paid for this. Like when I did the interview for Germania, I didn't get paid. I didn't get any free products or anything like that. A lot of people thought I did, but I got nothing from Germania. And when I've worked with other companies, I don't get paid for the videos I do. I only work with companies that I believe in. So Germania, I'm a big fan of the Germania Mint products. They do a lot of Viking themed stuff. I'm a huge fan of Vikings, and a lot of their products, they speak to me, and I've always said that. So, you know, when I got the chance to interview them, I was really down for it. I really was. And if there's a new product come out like the Unite bar, which was produced by the Oxford Mint, now unfortunately that company seemed to not go too far, but that Unite bar, I thought it was gorgeous. I thought it was a beautiful design bar, and I was more than happy to show it on my channel when it came out and advertise it for the company. But yeah, no, it's you know, I only ever work with companies that I have faith in, and I want to put my money, my name to, because there's no money exchanging hands. I'm not getting paid. You know, it's you know, if I'm covering your stuff, it's because I think it's good, and I think people would like to see it on my channel, if you know what I mean. But yeah, no, I've had a few fantastic opportunities getting to meet people like you know, Germania Mint. I've had interviews with Cardiff Gold, a bullion dealer over here as well. I was saying to you guys earlier, I was even able to have an interview with a guy named Daniel Smith, who's the head of categories for Europe at Whatnot, who's you know, really high up over in Whatnot. And the fact that they, you know, come over to my channel and been okay with me asking them questions, it's incredible, because you know, I'm just a little guy with a small YouTube channel. You know, I haven't got a lot to lose, but these are huge companies. I've got a lot to lose, haven't they? You know what I mean? And if you say, we live in a world nowadays, you say the one wrong thing, or something gets taken the wrong way, and that can be it. You know, game over, man, as we say. But yeah, I know what you mean there completely.
Sure.
Yeah, and they have to clear everything through legal departments and everything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've seen that to different extents. Now, I've worked with some companies, and I work with some companies. I say, "Oh, do you want to see the video?" And it's like, nah, just upload it, because they know me. They know the kind of video to expect. You know, they know I'm not going to say, if I've already agreed to do a video about a product, they know it's because I like the product. So it's probably going to, you know, they're not going to worry about what I'm saying. So some people, they don't even want to see the video. And then a lot of the times people will want to just have a quick look, just let me see it, just in case there's anything. And normally that's in case we say anything that they find embarrassing, because a lot of when you look at yourself, you know, your scale of embarrassment goes through the roof. It's like you know, you're so hard on yourself. It's like, oh, I can't believe I said that, and I can't believe I did that. Whereas if it was somebody else, you wouldn't even think twice about it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then there's been times, and Germania was one of these for me, and it's understastandable because it was the size of a company, etc. But there was a lot of work involved in that one. So when I did the first cut of the video, I sent it over to Germania, and we came back. First time we came back, he's like, "No, we want this changing. We want that changing. The logo. We need that adjusting slightly," because they're thinking about their brand. You know, and it needs to be on brand for companies like that. So, you know, there is a scale where some people, they just, you know, do whatever you're doing to get the name out there, fantastic. And then there's other companies that are like, yeah, no, like you say, we've got all these different loops to jump through before you can actually upload it. You know, and that definitely is the case on a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I have my youngest one is whining at me, so I do have to take care of my pups and get a little bit of sleep.
I'm going to be honest, guys. I will be starting my own live stream in 1 hour and 10 minutes. So I've only got a very limited amount of time before I can go and get setting up on my channel. But thank you so much for having me across today. I've had so much fun, and it's been a lot different to what I expected. We've spoken about things, and we've gone well off the beaten track at some times. But I've had a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. I hope everyone's enjoyed watching.
It's like what I when you asked before backstage, and I said we just go with the flow and go with whatever comes up, and now you see how it ends up. You know, we talk about precious metals, and then we veer off track a little bit, and then we try and get back to precious metals. But
I get it.
I mean, we just like to get to know other people in the community, and like everybody get to know each other, and we appreciate it. It's been an honor to have somebody from the other side of the pond over and tell their story and get a little different perspective of everything.
Yeah.
And
no, I love that. I love getting the different perspectives and seeing things from a different set of eyes, and I find that kind of stuff really interesting. And you know, as as much as there are so many similarities between you guys in the US and those guys in the UK, there's also so many differences as well. You know, it's like the stuff that's available. You know, the coins that you're able to get hold of, as opposed to the coins we're able to get hold of. You know, there are nuanced differences, as it were.
Oh, without question, yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor says fish and chips, huh?
Fish and chips. Not the biggest fan myself. Not the biggest fan.
Really?
You know, I'm not. Greasy foods aren't for me, really. I don't really like particularly greasy foods. Chips. I didn't even like chips when I was a kid. I've started to like them a lot more nowadays. And I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike fish and chips. Every now and again I'll be in the mood for fish and chips with some mushy peas and that, and yeah, it's very nice. But you know, most Brits don't, you know, we don't eat fish and chips every day. And I know that's you know, we eat a lot of fish and chips, don't get me wrong, and especially at seaside towns, like when I eat fish and chips, it's because I've gone to a seaside town. And we, for some reason, we just associate fish and chip. But it's fish, isn't it, from the sea, etc. But and a lot more, you get a lot more fresh because it's just been caught, kind of thing. But yeah, no, fish and chips can't go wrong. But I'll tell you one thing: like you guys and your biscuits, you know what you see as a biscuit and what we see as a biscuit are two very different things. I'll tell you that. Yours is like I don't know, it's like a muffin or a crumpet or something.
Yeah.
Not, what?
And your biscuit's more like a scone, right?
Scone, yeah.
No, for us a biscuit is more like a cookie,
like a tea cracker, right? Like a tea cookie, right?
No, you're thinking of a tea cake. So they're like a tea cake is very 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 thick, and you put like, you know, you put butter or cream on it or something. But a biscuit, very dry, very very dry, very thin. Just think of like kind of similar size to a cookie, but very often thinner than a cookie as well. And yeah, we'll put chocolate on them, or you know, we do all different kinds of things with our biscuits. But yeah, no, you guys have biscuits with gravy, and we dip our biscuits in our coffee.
Nice.
There's a YouTube video where they take American food to like UK kids. And they crack me up. They're like, this is right good. And they're like, it's like biscuits and gravy, fried chicken.
Well, fried chicken's good everywhere, isn't it? Let's be honest. But Colonel Sanders has conquered the world, and rightfully so.
Yeah. It was funny though. It was like candy from the US. It was just like all sorts of like soda, sweet tea.
Well, you guys, Coca-Cola to you guys is a very different kettle of fish to Coca-Cola to us guys, isn't it? You guys, unfortunately, you kind of drew the short straw with Coca-Cola in the States, didn't you?
Because of the what is
sugar,
it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's the.
I think you use like a sweetener rather than sugar. You don't use cane sugar in your Coke, do you? So we over here, ours is kind of like Mexican Coke. Or Mexican Coca-Cola. I'll be very careful how I say it because of YouTube. But yeah,
cartels here, okay?
Yeah, we're not talking. Yeah, none of that. We're talking about
your Coke is different.
Yeah, very different type of Mexican Coke. Yeah, for sure. But yeah,
it's a different type of sugar that's actually illegal in other countries.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's because you don't have cane sugar, do you, in your Coca-Cola? But I think think it's illegal in the US, but it's not illegal in the UK. We it's like our Fanta as well. Our Fanta and your Fanta, way different, completely different colors, tastes, and everything. So you know, even the stuff that is technically the same is also different. I know I had a lot of fun trying all your different types of foods and drinks and everything. One thing that I was not ready for Twinkies. I was not ready for them. I was like, you know, I did about Twinkies. Or like, what's so special about it? It's a little sponge cake, really. What is it? And it's like, that is just different. How do these taste so good? And Twinkies just got me. They were just the nicest thing I've ever had. So yeah, you got some great foods over there.
I haven't had a Twinkie in decades. It's the high fructose corn syrup. That's what they use.
Let's put it out there. Hey, what part of the U.S. did you visit? You said Hawaii, right?
Yeah, so I went out to LA. I did a week in Los Angeles. Went to the Universal Studios and a couple of Rodeo Drive and that kind of thing. And then I went to did a couple of weeks in Maui in Hawaii. And then on the way back, I did a week. Yeah, Maui's beautiful. And then on the way back, I did a week in San Francisco. And
beautiful.
yeah, that's a fun place. But at that point, the energy levels were starting to, so we'd done a week in Los Angeles, done all this stuff in Los Angeles, flown to Hawaii, done all this stuff in Hawaii. I became a qualified scuba diver whilst I was in Hawaii, and then we got to San Francisco, and the jet lag was kicking in, and it was so tired. We did some really, really fun bits, but the energy levels were definitely depleted by that point. I had some guy try and
so much travel.
Oh God, yeah. I mean,
crazy too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I tell this story all the time, but I had somebody try and mug me when I was in San Francisco.
Oh no!
That's surprising.
Yeah, no, I was at an ATM, and I didn't. Where we were staying was a really rough area. Apparently, you shouldn't really be using ATMs out in the street and stuff like that. But I'm using this ATM, and I'm taking out the rest of my money for the holiday. So I'm taking out hundreds of dollars here. All you can hear is the machine going.
Oh no!
Oh God.
And while that's doing that, I hear this voice from behind me, and all I hear from behind me is, "Yo, this is a hold up." And I'm thinking, what? And I turned around and I literally said, as I turned around, "What? No, it's not." Like laughing about it. And I'm quite a tall guy, guys. I'm 6'2", right?
Oh wow!
And it's not often I look up to people, and I turned around, and it was like this, comic. Cartoon level villainy going on, because I turn around and it's just this giant guy. He's got a scar. He's wearing like a black cowboy hat, black puffy jacket. He's got this scar going from above his eye down below his eye. Looks like a Disney villain. And I turned around and I was like, it's starting to look a lot more like a hold up right now. But I'll be honest. But I turned around.
It is a hold up.
Maybe I was wrong. But no, I turned around and goes, "What? No, it's not." And he heard my accent, and he was a Canadian guy. And he turned around when he heard my accent. He goes, "Oh, you from the UK?" I said, "Yes, mate. Yeah, England." He said, "Oh, I'm from Canada. The Commonwealth." I was like, "Oh, nice. Oh, awesome, mate. That's fantastic. That is brilliant. Yeah, no, great to meet you and all that." And he turns around, and at that point, he turns around to me and goes, "Oh, I don't suppose you can spare me a bit of change out, exactly." And I had $6 in my wallet. And I got my wallet out, and the whole time, I get my wallet out, and you can see it was $6 in there, but it was like a few dollar in change, and I gave him change, and he's like, "Oh, is that it? Can you not do a bit more?" He's like, "I've only got $6 here." I mean, he kind of gestured. He's like, "Yeah," but I was like, "There's $6. Tell me $6. You can have that. Gave him $6. Got my wallet out of cash patrol, put it in my pocket, and then I'm walking down the street, and I'm with two women. I'm with a female friend and her daughter, and we're walking down the street, and it's only 30-foot walk from this ATM to this convenience store, and between that, this gang of youths then tried to rob me again. All I could hear was like the leader of them, like the gang leader or whatever, what I mean, like the top boy, whatever you want to call him. All I heard would say is something about like I best give him some money or something. And luckily, this guy actually turned out to say it's being my savior, because although I just gave him $6, which I didn't really care about at the time. He then turned around to his gang and said, "Nah, he ain't got no money. He's just gave it all to me." And just as I'm going into this shop, I hear this gang turn around to this other guy to say something along the lines of, "Well, he best get the F out of here then, hadn't he?" And I'm like, where I'm at right now, what's going on? So I'm going in this shop. I'm like, Tracy, let's go. So I'm just looking for like the non, useless and senseless a thing, like like a chocolate bar or something. I'm looking for this type of drink or something. I'm like, let's go. You need to go
somewhere else.
Yeah, listen, I'll buy you whatever you want, room service, whatever. Let's just go back across to the hotel. I feel safer. And the funny thing was, he must have been a bit of a local character, the guy who came up with the Canadian guy, because I saw him about 5 times that holiday. I was like walking down the street, and we got chatting to each other by the end of it. We're like, "How are you doing today? Yeah, you're having a good one? Yeah." I'm just like, you know, it was so bizarre. It really was. But what an experience.
Sure he was, especially if those the youths listened to him. I'm sure he was known in that neighborhood.
Yeah, probably. He was definitely a lot older, and he was a big guy. I was like, what's going on here, mate? You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting to turn around and having to crane my neck back, but that was the most interesting thing that probably happened to me on that.
The youngins listened to him, then he was known in that neighborhood. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
San Francisco's not a good area. That has bad areas.
Yeah, and we were in one of the bad areas. And I came to learn this afterwards. Yeah, and it's, all cities have the bad areas, don't we? And I no hate to San Francisco. There was a lot of beautiful places and fantastic things going through Chinatown and going down the harbor and all that stuff, and getting to see Alcatraz and all that kind of stuff. You know, no hate to San Francisco whatsoever, but I just so happened to be in one of the rougher areas in San Francisco, and definitely, I could definitely tell for sure. But then, same as say, my local city, there's areas where I'd, you know, if you're a tourist, like, do not go there. Do you will get robbed. You will get robbed. You know what I mean? So there's an element of that wherever you go, really, isn't there?
Oh, yes. Anywhere you go, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you being on and sharing your stories, and just reach out to us when you want us to come on your live stream.
For sure.
I would be more than happy to.
No, I'd love to have both of you guys over. That would be absolutely fantastic if we can get that sorted in the next few weeks, whenever you guys got time. I start mine in about an hour's time, so if you guys can make that kind of time slot, then that would be absolutely brilliant. And I get to ask you guys all manners of weird and wonderful questions, which would be fantastic.
Sounds good. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much. Right, well, it's 2 minutes past 6, so I best get my microphone and stuff back on charge for an hour.
Yeah, you better.
Thank you so much for everything. We greatly appreciate you taking your time. Like I said, I know you're busy with life and your live streams and Stacker Social. So for the US folks, go check out Stacker Social. Subscribe to the Stat Collector, and check it out. He has awesome videos. You'll learn a lot. And
cool. Really cool live streams too.
Thank you. And if I haven't bored you guys out completely as of yet, you know, after this stream finishes, if it's going to keep going for a bit, come over and see me. I'll be starting in just under an hour's time, and we have a lot of fun in there. So yeah, do come across, and it'll be a good Saturday going forward. You've got Vegas in the morning, Vegas and blue collar, and then me later on.
Yes, right. Perfect. And it makes a good combo. And we
had LBS on Too Damn Early, his podcast. That was good. I was in there for a little while. He had Jeff Rubin on, so that was cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, no, I was enjoying it. It was good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Appreciate you, Stack Collector.
And thank you once again, guys. I've had a lot of fun. It's been fantastic getting here and having a good old chat with you guys. So again, thank you for inviting me across. If you want to have me back at some point in the future, I would be more than happy to come back across.
Oh yeah, definitely. We will.
Awesome. All right, then, guys. Well, I'm going to. I'll leave you. I don't know if you're ending it now or if you guys are carrying on for a bit, but I'm going to pop off the call now and hopefully see everyone in about an hour's time.
Yes, sir. We'll be over. I'll definitely be there.
Awesome. All right, guys. You take care.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Awesome.
Mr. Vegas Stacker, what's going on, dude? Do you want to call out the chat? We've been kind of literally ignoring the chat. Unfortunately, I've been trying to pop in, and I know you have too. It's just the conversation went so well. I was just like, whoa. It was great.
It was good. We addressed the chat when they had questions and stuff, and yeah, we both tried to interact with them. It was good. Blister and Barnacles,
you know what it is? There was such a big chat today that he brought in a lot of his people, and we thank him for that, and thank everybody for coming over. Appreciate it.
That was a good crowd. And if you're not subscribed to him, please go subscribe to the Stat Collector. And he does do his live stream, like he said, in an hour. So that's 11 o'clock Pacific time, 12, 1, 2, 2 o'clock Eastern time. And Baron Vamsky, thank you for holding down the chat. You ended up as number 3. You were number 1 for a while. B Taylor ended up as number 2. I'm not sure who ended up as let's see. Well, I see the top
Gotta
fan
be
thing now.
Littlefoot.
Pretty cool. No, 365 took it
Interesting. All right, 365.
because of the donation, because of the $10.
Very cool. All right.
It was B
I
Taylor,
didn't even
Baron
see
Vamsky,
that.
and Littlefoot. What's that?
No, I said I didn't even see that. I'm going to be going back through the chat, and I'm going to be subscribing to everybody that's in there. And if you guys feel the need, please subscribe to both me and Vegas, and maybe we'll meet up again.
Yes, there was a good crowd and a lot of new faces, a lot of people from Stacker Social,
Yes.
which is awesome. Like I said, holy cow, I got quite a few more subs. If you're not in Stacker Social, it's a very cool community. Um, they're really active in there. Of course, we can't participate in some of the stuff. Like they do auctions, they do like schedule meetups and all sorts of cool stuff. But you can always interact with the chat, see what they're buying. They have all sorts of different little sections in there, like show your stack, um, just all sorts of different stuff in their Discord, which is really cool, and they're really active in there.
Yeah, I
And
gotta get more into the Discord thing. I guess I'm an old fart, you know. I gotta figure it out.
it's new to me too. Like I was couldn't really um grasp it, but if you just go to like the one little section where they just chat in there all the time, like and talk about whatever. It's pretty cool. And there are some really cool artists in there. Silverpunk does really cool stuff.
Oh yeah,
There's what's the other one? Silver Cutter, Coin Cutter. Coin Cutter does cool stuff. Um, there's a lot of cool stuff you'll see in there that's different than what we see on the normal here.
gotcha.
Thank you, Blister and Barnacles. He dropped the link for Stacker Social,
Yeah, I gotta hit that.
and like we said, they just hit 1,500. I guess you call them subscribers, followers. I'm not sure what it is, but they just hit 1,500 recently, which is really awesome. So it's a cool little community that you can explore and see the difference. Um, really cool. They tried to do it with the U.S. silver foil hat did, but I don't know why it just didn't really take off. But I
Well,
think
it's early, you know. It's just going to require promotion. Maybe we got to get behind it and promote it more, you know.
maybe we should do that because it does take work. It's not just like something that you just do. I mean, you have to put some work into it. You have to put some effort into it. And I know the Stat Collector, he puts effort into it and puts time into it, which gets it to where it is.
Yeah,
Baron Vamsky says we do have also U.S. sub chat room dealers and poorer rooms too. See, there you go. So
nice.
they do have a little bit for everybody, which is very, very cool. There's no reason why the stack collecting community can't join together, even with the distance that's between us. It's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. No, this was a great idea to unite with our European brothers, and this was again Vegas put in a lot of work getting this lined up, and thank you. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. No problem. Like I said, our morning live streams on Saturdays haven't been doing the best just because people have been busy and it's a different time for everybody. So when I figured out the 8-hour difference between Vegas and the UK, it seemed like a good fit
Yeah,
for them to be able to enjoy what we have to share on a Saturday afternoon, and we can listen to what they have to share. And Blistering Barnacles, Baron Vamsky, if there's any other Nerd UK, if there's any other anyone else from the UK that's in the chat right now and that would like to join us on our live streams on Saturdays, my email is in my channel description, and Blue Collar's email is in his channel description. Feel free to reach out to us. We would love to have you on and hear your story.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's perfect fit for Saturday. The time zone difference for the time that we do our show, it's early afternoon or mid-afternoon for them. So yeah, it works out really well. Like our Monday night show would never work because that's in the middle of the night there, you know.
I forgot who it was. It might have been Blistering Barnacles. Somebody was in one of our Monday night chats, and I was surprised because it's like 2 or 3 in the morning their time. So, but
yeah,
it was cool.
All right. Yep. Well, I know you got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. You want to do a last chat call out?
Yeah, why not? World Money Wins, thank you for being in. He says it's in the middle of the night for him too. Yes, it does happen that way.
Yeah.
Shiny Silver says I have to take a look. Blistering Barnacle says yes, that was me. I thought that was you. I couldn't remember. I have a bad memory, but I was thinking that was you. And I think that's because you work third shift, if I remember seeing correctly in the chat in Stacker Social, which I know that lifestyle. So thank you for being here, Blistering Barnacles. B. Taylor from start to finish, as always. He says he's got to get some cooking to do. Nice. Nemo's Numismatic, you had me cracking up with all your comments. Thank you for that. That was awesome. Where is World Money? World Money was in the chat. World Money is in the Midwest, Michigan. Baron Vansky, thank you. Blistering Barnacles, thank you. SGT, Nerd UK, Cartier Silver, Shiny Silver, thank you for checking us out. And also a great special thank you to the Stack Collector, because like he said, he has a live stream that he's doing in an hour himself, and actually less than an hour now. So that was awesome for him to take time and pull a double today, if you think of it that way.
And literally he gave us 3 hours of his time. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much. And his family from Stacker Social and across the pond, they stuck it in here with him too. And thank you guys. Appreciate all the new faces in here. Thank you so much.
Yes, it was an awesome one. And if you guys do have a chance, go check out his live stream that he'll be running in 45 minutes. Even if you can't watch it, click on it and listen to him while you're cooking. B. Taylor, I know you will. You're always supportive. So
yeah, man.
Appreciate everybody. Enjoy your weekend. And Monday night, we will have Coin Sense and Nonsense.
Woo!
Another big name.
So break out your vintage, Vegas. I'm gonna have all my vintage stuff on the stage for him to marvel at, which won't put a dent in his stuff, but it is what it is. I got a little bit of vintage, so hopefully he'll enjoy that.
And speaking of vintage, we have vintage back to back, because we have Coin Sense and Nonsense on Monday evening. Yep. And then we have another vintage person, Silverstruck, next Saturday morning. So those are two great guests with great vintage bars.
Bars, rounds, everything. Yeah. Heck yeah.
So look forward to both of them for sure.
So yeah, I'm a little loopy right now. I'm gonna actually pack it in and get going. I need my nap. I'm getting old,
I need a nap too before my wife gets home in 2 hours. And I have been up since yesterday. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy your weekend, and we will talk at you on Monday night.
All right, Monday Night Metals, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and 2 o'clock in the morning on the British summertime. If you happen to be awake, join us.
Later.
Take care, guys. Have a great weekend.